Oh my goodness. Hey everybody. Hello. Happy Sunday. Waiting on this thing to fall down. Happy Sunday in Pinedale, Wyoming. Awesome. That is so crooked. Anyways, hey guys, what are you doing? How are you doing? What are you doing? Right? Anyways, I'm nervous today. Why? Why am I nervous? Can never get used to this stuff, right? I wonder if Chen's Ken is putting money on her books or vice versa. I don't think they have any money to give one another. Oh, the kinfolk, yeah. They're not victims, according to Lori. She is crazy. She's cray-cray. We already knew that, though. Catherine, hey, you're watching me. Uh-oh. Watch me close. Hey, Ruby. How's Dallas? I've been watching the floods and stuff over there in Texas. That's crazy. I pray for everybody to just be as safe as they can. You know, that's crazy. I don't have the words. Like, I had all the energy earlier and then it's gone. So I'm like, okay, let's see how we can salvage this. Except, right, I am just doing my orbit last night. Oh my gosh. And where did I start? I started at the very beginning. It's a very good place to start. Just kidding. Oh, he lives in Austin. Oh my gosh, our prayers are with him for sure. Hey, Miss Dora. I don't know how my screen is way down there, but if I do that, then my camera's way up here. So it's kind of I'm like looking down and looking around. You bet Emma's still putting money on her mommy's, right? He was like $30. Somebody's watching me. Uh-oh. It was a good song. Yeah, I must say so myself. Hey, Festus's mom, Lou, Rowan to you, CSI Crowdsource, Illuminations. How you doing? How's it going, everybody? And sis, was that camp a place LDS girls went? I don't know. Not sure. I don't know that much about it, but yeah. Yeah, Trace, it's gross. You know, like just uh, the raging, waters like that's scary. That is scary to me. So I just hope everybody respects Mother Nature and or whomever's modifying it. Anyways, there's my conspiracy theory for the day. All right. Thank you, Carolina, for becoming a new member again. Hey, it's good to see you. Yeah, when I saw that you were an evacuee from Katrina and then Rita, I was like, me too. Well, not Katrina, but I lived in Lake Charles. And so everybody from Katrina either went east, north, or west. So we some people came this way and we all skedaddled to Texas for sure. And then we ended up in Katy, Texas. And then I was 7 months pregnant. And then our house was the only house that had no damage at all, which was crazy. I mean, like everybody had trees in their houses and it was a war zone, straight up war zone. And then 7 months later, no, wait. 9 months later, because Ashlyn, I was 7 months pregnant whenever Rita came through, and then Ashlyn was 7 months old, so yeah, 9 months later, my house burned to the ground. And I was like, and I really think it was something to do because they couldn't find a cause for it. So, but it came from the laundry room, and there was a tree that landed from the neighbor's yard, but the top of the leaves were like they were like just barely touching the siding, and I was just like, Well, I mean, there's damage that is done in those hurricanes, especially when they lower the wind value, the wind per hour or whatever, just so that it doesn't exceed a stage 5 or a cat 5, I mean, or whatever. So they don't have to pay as much insurance money. I mean, allegedly. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what they do. I don't know what they do around here. But FEMA really did help a lot at that time. But then what I've seen FEMA do lately ain't so good. You know what I'm saying? Which is terrible because I know I experienced it myself and when Laura happened and then Delta in 2020, no FEMA, nowhere to be found. And it was from the support and the help from like the Mennonites came. We ate there a lot. A lot of people like pitched in supplies and gas and I mean just all the things that you need, because whenever we came back home, I was just to check on it, like we knew we didn't have electricity. It knocked out 9 power grids. It was crazy. That was crazy. Plus we have a casino right here and we have to have them on a riverboat. It has to be on the water. And we have this I-10 bridge, right? It does like this. It's ancient. I can't stand it. But like when President Trump went over it, he was like, "Oh my God, get rid of that thing." But a barge, the casino barge or whatever, like while we were evacuated and the winds were coming through and all that stuff, we were supposed to have a surge and everything. But anyways, it banged up against the bridge pylons and then I do remember like there's a refinery right here and it was so bad with bleach smell. Like, I mean, and our trees are dying now still, I'm just like, was it salt water or or was it, chlorine? They'll never tell. They'll never tell. She is. Can we agree? We can agree. Yeah, so I was digging. No matter where I went last night, who knows? Just around the interwebs, and I I was on Reddit for some reason, and again, just kind of making. I was kind of looking for what to talk about today, but then it struck me, and it struck me good. So I found a link on Reddit, which I don't have right at this moment, but I'll get it to you if you want it. But you can download the entire Visions of Glory book for free. That's a bargain, right? Let me tell you, can't even give this thing away. No. All right. And so I'm like, all right, I take screenshots. That's what I do. That way I have it forever. Okay. So here's the first screenshot, and then, there's my login register. Oh, do. Okay. And it says, what readers are saying about Visions of Glory. And it says, Spencer's unique medical background was by far the most helpful in bringing me out of my challenges I was facing. He is a great man trying to do good in the world, and he has done a lot for me. Ken Krogh, founder and president of InsideSales.com. Okay. I was like, well, where's all the rest of the names for all the other comments, all the other people who are just devout to this damn thing, where are they at? They're not listed, of course. So I'm going through, and this is the 5-year anniversary copy. I mean, I have 2 books. Okay. Never looked at this part of the book. All right. Here we go. Hopefully I'm showing this to you. Yeah, I am. Okay. Visions of Hori. You right. For sure. So, I mean, okay. No bigs, right? Piracy is both illegal and immoral. And let's talk about immoral, Tom. Okay. Okay, it's on the next page. It's on the next page. So I was like, there it is. Right there. Right here. It says, okay, straight up. Visions of Glory 5-year anniversary. 1. Astral projection. Case studies. I was like, well, I'll be a son of a bitch. There you go. Here's your portal. For sure. I don't have to speculate as to what Tom is talking about in the godforsaken book, okay? Because that's what I think he's talking about. I think he's passing it off as near-death experiences so that, you can plug a bigger audience and do case studies with like people like Chad Daybell, allegedly, and maybe Julie Rowe, allegedly. And, you can meet up in your Salt Lake City office, and teach people how to portal, allegedly. And then boom, they're like murdering 4 people in their family, just boom, 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 rapid succession, and shot at one. Okay. So whenever I read Program to Kill, and whenever Dave McGowan said that most cults are fronts for like CIA experiments and shit. Okay. Here we are. Here we are. Cult. 2 of them are locked up. Where's the rest of them? Oh, they're projecting astrally. Remote viewing. They are voyeurism. They are being witches. They are doing some really cray stuff. Okay. Um, check, please. So this is Lori's near-death experience. I can promise you that. This is Lori's. She's tapping in. They're all tapping in. That's what they were doing. That's what they're talking about in their text messages with one another, where they're saying they're hovering over Charles's truck while him and JJ are traveling back from visiting us, and that it's okay. JJ's going to live a short life anyways. And then he's going to reincarnate into Colby's kid, future kid. Because at that time, Colby only had a daughter. I don't know if they stay male. I don't know. I don't care. I'm just saying this is the jibber jabber crap that was coming from their mouths, in their text messages that were crazy, and they were having 24 or 20-year-old periods again. I hope she's still having a 20-year-old period. I hope it's like a 15-year-old period, and I hope it lasts her all her life, okay? Because she is one big period cramp, in my opinion, and I'm sorry for being so raunchy. That's pretty trashy. I'm sorry. But what the hell? Okay. Number 2, visions, case studies. Oh, who's the doctor here? Oh, Thomas G. Harrison, Visions of Glory, creator. I don't have the damn book in my, thank God it's not in my grip because I'd probably be ripping it right about now. Because talking about it out loud is a whole lot different than thinking about it in my mind. 25 plus 25 whacked. Right. I know. That's what everybody was saying about her. Like, girl, and he's like, aren't you solitaire in solitary? Uh she didn't know what to say. But then she had to school him. Obviously, you don't know how prisons are or something. She's crazy. Anyways, and then number 3, eschatology, which are the end times. So there's that part. Number 4, Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, doctrines, okay? Number 5, Mormon Church, doctrines, and then whatever title. Okay, I don't ever I'm not a big book reader, period. I mean, I've had to read a lot of things since this, spurred off or whatever in 2019, since I had to start reading, and then so now I enjoy reading. I like to read. Didn't know it. But I am a fan. And happy birthday to my Jason. He's 54 years young today. Okay. Okay. Hold on just one second. Let me turn off my tick so you don't have to hear me type. Let me send a. I'm so sorry, y'all. Let me at least give you. But I mean, can you believe astral projection? Number one. That's like that. It doesn't say near death experiences. It doesn't say what all his ailments. Ailments. Seeing dead people, seeing demons and spirits jumping into people. None of that. But what it is astral projection, case studies of astral projection. I wonder if Chad and Lori or Julie or and Tim, I mean, Jody. I mean, how far does this expand? Busted. Uh-oh. You know what happens when you deal with them 3-letter agencies, right? I do not want to self-delete. I don't want to be deleted, period. I do not have insurance money, so there's that. And then don't be hovercrafting over me or nothing. Okay, bippity boppity. Go, go, go. All right. And then what else? I don't plan on going on a long trip off a short cliff. Okay. So I love my life. So great. Wonderful. All right, let me do this so I can hush. We're running my mouth. Okay, got that out of the way. I don't even want to move from here because I'm just like, what? But I found some more stuff. So, when it rains, it pours. And I don't mean, oh my God, that was not a good analogy to use right now. And no, let me just shut up. So sorry. But yeah, so yeah, of course, I had to have one copy where I highlighted it and then one you just saw the clean copy. But and so I wonder, I don't know if this is in the original. I just thought about that. I'm sure you saw my wheels turning, but it says to Jesus Christ for every good thing. To Terry, my best friend and fellow what pilgrim, I'll be damned, who taught me the most important thing I know. To Spencer, Thom, for a lifetime of holding ooh, of holding to the rod. Anyways, it's fair game. Fair game. And it says also by John Pontius. This is what got me started. So I was reading a fireside chat by John Pontius from 2017. And so I was like, I screenshot it, and that's when I start to, underline things, and I'm just like, oh no, you might as well, if you just read it in the context of Lori, okay, reading it, and if you just envision when they talk about Zion and New Jerusalem or the New World or whatever, you want to put in there, and you just substitute that for perhaps, you know, it's not my crazy. It's not my crazy, but this is where they're going. I've watched them all do this. Every one of them. This whole NWO. Okay? That's what this is. So embrace it. Okay? Because that's what this is. And there's many more moving parts of this same conspiracy, so to speak. That's my expert opinion. Okay? Because I'm a damn expert on it now. By now. I've been holding that in for a very, very, very long time. And I mean, I've let it out already, but this is why they are accelerationalists. This is why they sell doomsday. This is why they capitalize on the fear and the trauma. And that's what they're doing. They are cha-ching, cashing in, exploiting victims the entire way. I mean, maybe they count them as sacrifices. I don't know. I'm not on that side. I'm not on that team. I'm still trying to figure this stuff out too. But this is what they're doing. This is the end times programming. This is The same thing that was okay. I learned this weekend that, Mitt Romney's dad was George Romney, and he was the governor of Missouri or Michigan, one of the two. I don't remember. I wrote it down, but I don't have that on hand. But yeah, I want to say Michigan. Anyways, I heard he was a real son of a bitch, and he was very hard on Romney. But anyways, it's a generational family, which is why Romney is like he was BFFs with M. Russell Ballard. He is BFFs with Gordon Bowen. Gordon Bowen is accused of being the alleged punisher for the church, the LDS Church of Satan, which that plays into David Hamblin's crew. Okay. That's where that goes in. But, whenever Tim Ballard was, getting exposed back in September of 2023, and they did that public denunciation, hurry up and cut the ties, publicly to Vice News. You know who it was, and there's multiple sources for this. It was Gordon Bowen who actually came up with the email to Vice News to publicly shame him or to, distance him from M. Russell Ballard. And it was on official church, letterhead, email, all that stuff. Which is why Tim's camp was saying, "Oh no, I didn't get excommunicated. No, it's like they don't like each other. I don't know why, but like Mitt Romney does not like Tim, and I imagine since Gordon Bowen is BFFs with Mitt Romney, he's probably like, but still, it's like if he's the alleged LDS Church of Satan punisher, allegedly, that's a public humiliation ritual, if you will. Whatever. I don't know. I'm not here to justify why they do what they do. I'm just trying to figure out why they do what they do, basically. It's an NWO. I don't want to say it because it's not my conspiracy, I don't know. Michigan. Oh, thank you. It's what this is. And again, they're not the only people in this club. There's many other people. There's Tim Ballard, there's Mitt Romney, there's Gordon Bowen, there's David Hamblin and Rosie, Jody, Ruby, Kevin. I'd say Kevin too, if I had to speculate. All these like generational families who are doing this to their children, like the ones that are in the headlines and are doing rotten shit, being rotten people and acting all holier than thou. Those people. And I really do, y'all. And I mean, again, this is just my speculation. I can't prove it. And I mean, I don't think you can in a court of law anyways, because, you can't convict somebody on their beliefs, right? So, but you can on their practices, right? I think that the end game for Lori and Chad and Melanie, because I mean, right, why kill kids? Why torture kids? Why torture them till you kill them? Why do all this abuse? What's the end game here? What is the end game? And I mean, that's a fair question, right? What's the end game? Well, I'll use Kanye West's word to traumatize and monetize. And I'm like, oh yeah, okay, that's part of it. That's part of the whole stealing people's light, like exploiting people, victimizing people, being a narcissist, whatever you want to call it. It's a pay to stay system in Florida and in Georgia too. Oh, I was like, that's exactly what it is. But no, if the NWO program, I'll just call it a program or agenda, whatever you want to call it, there's this age-old conspiracy that's been around. Watch, I'm gonna have one of them blue things under my damn video. Oh my god. Algorithm gods. I'm pissing them off right now. But let me look it up because I'm gonna botch it. Now it's gonna be in my computer history. Everything else is, huh? Let's look at the Wikipedia, which is approved by them. Right. So, a New World Order conspiracy theory. So, there you go. This article is about the conspiracy theory for the use of the term in international politics. See, New World Order politics. What's the damn difference? In a New World Order. Anyways, Joseph Smith, it's riddled. And I mean, as a Nevermo, it's laced throughout the Book of Mormon, in my opinion, about the Zion, New Jerusalem, and like I've been led to the Book of Enoch so many times. I don't know how, because I don't know how this all works, but I've just been reading things that like, okay, multiple probations. All right, Hector Sosa's like, oh, he wrote an email to all his Pathway to Zion members, like they're shutting down everything. They're locking it down. Chad and Lori, the kids are missing. They're locking it down, but won't talk to nobody. And he's like, okay, don't talk about multiple probations. And I'm like, check. And he's like, I forget what else. Don't talk about, it'll come to me. But I'm just like, that's exactly what I'm going to go damn look up. And it's exactly what I did. And so, I mean, for a long time, I've been reading this stuff since the beginning, when things weren't adding up and I was not getting the right response, I guess you could say, from the public, Anyways, let me hush because we got a lot of ground to cover. So, the New World Order is a term often used in conspiracy theories, not mine, which hypothesize a secretly emerging totalitarian world government. The common theme in conspiracy theories about a New World Order is that a secretive power elite with a globalist agenda, I don't care who's behind it, is conspiring to eventually rule the world through I'm having a hard time with that, an authoritarian one world government, which will replace sovereign nation states and an all-encompassing propaganda whose ideology hails the establishment of the NWO as the culmination of history's progress. Many influential historical and contemporary figures have therefore been alleged to be, I don't like this word, to be a part of a cabal, Chad Daybell, that operates through many front organizations. Well, it tends to look this way. When you take Operation Underground Railroad, which was, being sponsored by Chad Daybell's company, the same weekend that Tylee Ryan was murdered. And then, well, allegedly, according to Lori, Tylee died 2 days before her birthday, which is when JJ died. So, whatever. You do the math. Who knows? But we're going to go with what we know to be true because we don't believe liars. But so I'm just saying, OUR was there the weekend that Tylee was murdered, and then Book of Mormon evidence was in town whenever JJ was murdered. So I don't know. Just from the research I've done over the past 6 years, it tracks. They look to me, I've said it before, they look like front organizations. It's kind of like a Mormon Diddy white party, except it ends up being a freak off. But there's levels to it. So the front organization is going to be, of course, what the Book of Mormon say, doing all the stuff where they have the vendors and all the things. They're going to make their money, and then perhaps, there's the after party, and then there's the after party. Chad and Lori, it seemed like they were, James and Elena that was born on that couch right there by Bruce Porter, allegedly. I'm good. So that was a freak off, and that's what we'll call it. Lori and Chad's freak off. James and Elena were born. Anyways, I'm just talking out my butt right now. I'm so sorry. All right. So that operates through many front organizations to orchestrate significant political and financial events, ranging from causing systemic crisis to pushing through controversial policies at both national and international levels as steps in an ongoing plot to achieve world domination, right? So it says before the early 90s, New World Order conspiracism was limited to two American countercultures. I'm not political, so do what you do. Primarily the militantly anti-government right, okay, and secondarily the part of fundamentalist Christianity. What if you have both? What if you have people in this club that are both, in my opinion? Concerned with the eschatological end time emergence of the Antichrist. Remember that? Remember what it said right here? Oh, well, let me back it up. Go here. Remember what that said? Astral projection, case studies. Number 2, vision, case studies. 3, eschatology. 4, Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, doctrines. And then number 5, Mormon Church, doctrines. There you go. All right. Proven. Fact. End times emerge. Okay. Academics who study conspiracy theories and religious extremism, such as Michael Barkin and Chip Burlett, observed that right-wing populist conspiracy theories about a new world order not only had been embraced by many seekers of stigmatized knowledge, but also had seeped into popular culture, thereby fueling a surge of interest and participation in survivalism. We got the Prepper Pride, paramilitarism, Jason Mao, and, Operation Underground Railroad, and paying, like the people, the elite folk, his, rich friends, they would pay for an experience to go, rescue alleged trafficked children. No receipts, none. It's about to get really alarming, y'all. So you might want to put on your tinfoil hats. Okay, as many people actively prepare for, I would say as many people actively prepare for and profit from. Okay, Julie Rowe. Okay, Thom Harrison. Okay, Tim Ballard. Okay, LDS Church and other churches that do the same shit. Stop it. Okay, for apocalyptic and millennial, whatever, scenarios. These political scientists warned that mass hysteria over NWO conspiracy theories could eventually have devastating effects on American political life. Yeah, traumatize. It's called traumatization. It's called fear, trauma-based fear. Or, yeah, am I saying that right? Or fear-based trauma, something like that. Okay, could eventually have devastating effects on American political life, ranging from escalating lone wolf terrorism, which is a type of terrorism committed by an individual who both plans and commits the act on their own. In my family, that's kind of happened, almost. To the rise to power of authoritarian, ultra-nationalist demagogues. I don't know these words. An extremist form of nationalism in which a country asserts or maintains supremacy or, well, there you go. You got Chad Daybell saying coon, raccoon, and then Tylee's dead. And they talking about dark people. So there you go, supremacy. Just saying. Demagogues or rabble rouser is a political leader in a democracy who gains popularity by arousing the common people against elites. Did you see that interview that freaking Paul Hutchinson did? And it's got Epstein, it's got Diddy, and he's like, I was there. And I'm like, I bet your ass you were. I bet you were. But you can't tell. You can't be a little bitch and tell and then make it like, oh my God, you can't hang with the big boys, in the billionaire club. You can't do that and then run tell that. You can't. Okay. I can't stand these people. History of the term. I don't want to go through all this. Okay. I'll grab the link and I will throw it in the chat, and you are more than welcome to look at it at your leisure. I'll look at it a little more and brush up on some terminology because I suck at it. But what do y'all think? I mean, this is crazy. He said he did. He claimed he did. He claimed he did. But they couldn't prove anything over because he would have to voluntarily, Tim would have to voluntarily say, release my records. You know, but he won't because he's not gonna, because it's a moneymaker for him either way. So we can sit here and speculate, more conspiracy, more chaos, if you will. There's a whole bunch of Loris, okay? But yeah, so he claimed he did, but it was like he was just answering the phones and grabbing like bagels and like donut runs, okay? That sound like my mom. Yeah, I hear that a lot. I do. Well, so I mean, anyways, this has like just been that missing piece, of, oh, okay, good. They confirmed what I was already speculating. I was already speculating that Thom Harrison was allegedly writing about these quote unquote astral projection experiences, his own, okay, alleged, in my opinion, his own experiences, selling them in a book. And then that's why Lori was, I mean, in it. Okay. She had it on her person when my uncle was shot at in Chandler. It was on her nightstand. She had a copy whenever she was served in Hawaii. Her and Chad were, by the pool, tanning, sunning by the pool in January. And it was under her right leg, served there. Whenever they arrested Lori and they impounded the vehicle that they were driving there in Hawaii. There was a copy in there. When she was extradited from Idaho to Arizona, guess who ordered her a copy in jail? She's got one right now in her cell, unless she sold it for, ramen. Lori. Okay, so Visions of Glory. Yeah, so she ordered it there. She ordered some kind of witchy book or something, and then one of Chad Daybell's Arthur's books. I mean, he published the books or whatever. Anyway, so that's that. And then we have that June 9th call between Lori and Chad. I'm sorry, June 8th. It was the day before the kids were unearthed from Chad Daybell's property. And right off the bat, which of course I did listen to it again the other day, and Rob Wood, when he was playing it for Detective Hermosillo, because Detective Hermosillo heard that. And so that's who introduced that evidence into the record in Chad Daybell's trial. And Rob Wood started it at a certain, like 6 minutes in. So there probably is 6 minutes of Visions of Glory talk. And she was talking about the angels of fire, pillars of fire, something like that. She was talking to Chad, like right when he played it for the court, And anyways, I didn't catch it, but Lauren Hidden True Crime, they caught it over there. And I was like, holy crap. Oh my God. They're talking in Visions of Glory. Just like I think she talks in LDS. She talks in scripture. That is her language. Okay. She taught whenever she was pretending to be a lawyer, she was talking with the inside speak. If you notice, she did a lot of acronyms, like, because I don't know what a da 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 is, because I'm not in prison. Okay. So not my terminology. And I'm not really good at acronyms or whatever. No. That's not me. Once I get them, I got them, but don't get me figuring those things out. But it's inside speak. It's inside talk. And she talks it like, hey, judge, blah, 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 at the DO, whatever order. And I'm just like, I don't even know what she's talking about. I mean, I get it now after listening to it so many times, but what, like what is going on here? So it's like she is a chameleon, and whatever she has to do to fake it till she makes it is she's going to do it. She did it with mommy, talk. She did it to fool people. I mean, she just would pick up the role, I guess. I don't know. I know. Can you imagine? Our brains would be even more fragmented, I think. I really do. Just like the dance videos, like, I'm like, "Keep them. I just don't need all that in my life, you know? I can picture it. "I'm never gonna dance again," you know? Right. I know. I was same here. I don't feel like she should be able to get a book she likes either. And I mean, I went and looked at the Son of Sam laws, again, because this is something that KJ has brought up in the past that I've looked at in the past that, um, there's Son of Sam laws, there's this other law or whatever, but they had it overturned. A prisoner had it overturned some time ago. I don't know. I didn't retain that information before jamming my head with new information. But it's like infringing. The argument was that it was infringing on the prisoner's freedom of speech, because they have rights. Lori's got rights, and she ain't gonna let us forget it ever. So every state should have sunshine laws. We as taxpayers are footing the bill for their whole lives. We should be able to know what they're doing, right? They're not gonna let us. I mean, it's getting worse and worse. I mean, just in the trial coverage area, in true crime, look at I mean, I don't look, I'm just throwing some things out there. I'm not a professional or expert, or I'm just pointing out some examples. But if you look at how Lori's first trial was compared to Chad's, where we didn't have video, but we had audio at the end of the day. I mean, it creates this fragmented way of receiving information, especially, especially in Arizona. That 5-minute or that 30-minute thing really got me. It cooked my goose because I mean, I'm just like, I found the verdict out in like 3 different waves for Charles, for Uncle Charles's, justice. And I mean, I was just like, okay, but I'm not gonna believe what I see in chat. I'm not gonna believe, it's not gonna be real until I see it with my own eyes, and my own ears. I'm just saying it was very fragmented in the way it came in, and it was just I don't know. I don't know. I already don't feel things immediately, so, I've got that going for me. But it's just interesting how and I mean, I understand the reason why, don't get me wrong. I'm not demonizing anybody. I'm just saying, okay, so there's that and, like, the transparency with that. Then there's, like, the Koberger thing that it just transparency is so different in Idaho and Arizona. Totally different systems, okay? I was so worried, and I mean, I'm always gonna be worried about corruption, and I think we all should not worried, but we should all be aware, okay? And let's not just trust everything and everybody. Yeah, we want to, but there are really corrupt ass people too. I mean, we all are none of us are perfect. I always envision like the Pope, and I'm like, he puts his pants on the same way I do and you do, one leg at a time, unless you can jump in them. I mean, goody goody gumdrops, go back somewhere else. I'm just saying, like, there's nobody on this planet that is exalted. Period. Nobody knows what's after this. Nobody. Okay, don't believe them. All right, because they're full of shit. And they're just trying to scare you. So, yes. I know. I know, Ravina. I don't wanna piss everybody off because oh my god, you gotta do it in layers. Um, but, um, I mean, even the way they handled, I don't know if you've noticed, but and I mean, maybe it's just me. I don't know if people blame Lori and Alex more than they do Chad. But I hear Lori's name every time, whereas I don't hear Chad's name or I don't read Chad's name every time. I don't read it in the article, not as much. I mean, they'll just it's minimized for some reason. And I don't know if that's just because Lori's back up in the headlines or I don't know. Just kind of sharing what I'm observing. Okay. Then I remember not really I didn't get to follow the Delphi case, but I mean, once it went to trial or whatever, and cameras, and I mean, I remember the judge, like, I don't remember her name at that time. Like, I was just like, oh my God, what? You can't have, no audio, no nothing, just in the pretrial hearings or the court hearings before it even went to trial. And then no audio, no, like, you actually had to be in the damn courtroom. And then, according to Joe and people who were there, like Lauren, um, lawyer Lee, other people that went to Delphi to attend that trial and stand in line, camp out and shit. I mean, and then it depended on where they even were inside the courthouse, in the courtroom, like, as to what they got to hear and then what would make its way out, right? But then they tell us, like, they go live in a press conference and they shame us for believing the way that we do. Well, I wonder why. Maybe stop hiding everything and trying to control and tell me how to feel and how to think, because that's not how this works, bub. you know? Like, I mean, there's some things in Idaho for sure where I don't agree with prosecution at all. I mean, it is a theory. It is, and it's supported by evidence. Okay? And they're not going to sit there. They can't sit there and prosecute Lori and Chad for their beliefs. So that goes against the First Amendment, right? Rights. Everybody's rights. So, I mean, I'm speculationville over here. That's all I've got. That's all I've got. And it's common sense isn't so common for real. And myself included. Sometimes I miss it, but when you really sit back and you think about all the things and you're just like, okay, well, but what's their end game? What's their end game? Did Lori and Chad get a buy-in in this new world? This new Zion? Sounds like it. And if you read the same things that I've been reading, that I've been reading over all these years. But I mean, I orbit back to it. And then I'm like, this is what it is. They are selling you your free ticket, or not your free ticket, because trust me, it comes at a price. Perhaps the price of your children, your family, your sacrifice, whatever you're willing to give for the greater good. Okay. I know I'm not off in this. I know it's uncomfortable to think about. And I'm sure it was really uncomfortable for JJ and Tylee. They were kids. They didn't get a say so. They didn't get to walk out. They didn't have that option. Okay. And so that's my evidence right there. That them two plus Tammy plus Charles plus Brandon plus Joe plus who knows. Okay. And I believe that both Lori and Chad come from families like this. I can't prove it. I can speculate my ass off though. Just saying. Just saying. And they're not alone. There's Ruby, there's Jody, there's other people that we don't even know about. I mean, that's just in the Mormon land over here where I try to stay, that way the like-minded beliefs, right? So, I mean, you can't go anywhere else with Joseph Smith, besides the FLDS. And I even was looking at some of the what's his name? Warren Jeffs. I was looking at some of his journal entries himself, and it kind of sounds like the same concept. He's doing this polygamous stuff, marrying these young girls, violating these young girls. It's like, does each tribe, so to speak, do they get like, here, you have 5,000 slots to fill. Okay. You're the team leader. All right. And then they're like, all right, who wants a ticket to paradise? Lori? All right, Chad. Well, you have to seal in the temple secretly while you're still married to your spouses. Okay. And then, and then we're going to assign you maybe 24 zombies to get rid of. Remember how there were 24? I'm just being sarcastic right now. But do you know what I'm saying? And then there's a text message, and I have not been able to put my hand on it. So I don't know if it came out in the trial in Idaho. or if I read it. And I mean, I've been trying to think of keywords around it, for me to be able to find it in the FOIA docs, Chandler or Gilbert. So I know I've looked through Chandler, so it has to be in Gilbert and or Idaho. But it was a conversation between Lori and Chad. I want to say it was sometime in July. It was right before he said that he felt like he was Harry Potter, or whomever. That Harry Potter, I've never watched Harry Potter, so I don't know. So don't make fun of me. But anyways, it was right before that, but it's like they were talking to each other, and Lori texts Chad something along the lines of, "That was a nice message you sent Melanie B or Mel B." And she was like, "Although she's okay, but I'm still really upset about it." And I was like, I mean, in the context of all the other things, of course. And that's why Lori doesn't think that she killed. She sacrificed, in my opinion. I've said that from jump. But because it goes down to semantics, right? Semantics. Under the stairs, right? You haven't either? Yeah. Good, don't. Let's make a pact. Let's not make a pact. Let's make an oath. I'm kidding. So it sounds to me, if I had to just give you my gut feeling right there, my first thought was, holy crap, did they just tell did Chad Daybell just tell Melanie Boudreaux nice words, talk her into sacrificing her own children so she could gain entrance into this Zion idea, this new Zion, New Jerusalem, this end times eschatology event, right? They are the latter days, right? And then you think about Julie Rowe and the Wasatch wake up and this big earthquake supposed to happen. You got Zalema hovering over like a damn witchy hovercraft, okay? Working on the tectonic plates and the fault lines and doing their witchy stuff. Trying to make people wreck their loved ones, not just people, their loved ones, their children, their own wives and their own husbands. It's like, what? And, it just makes me wonder. And, oh, yeah, so let me hush because we got places to go. We got places to go. I need to hydrate. I'm already dehydrated. Let's see. Wrong one. I will get it. I promise. Maybe. Where is it? Huh. I need to fix my layouts because they suck. That's the one I was looking for. Holy crap, I forgot to say I did some research and both kids were killed on SR periods. What kids? Who? Yeah, Tyler and JJ for sure. Brandon was shot at on 1-2. Charles 2. Yeah. Julie Rowe is a fry short of a Happy Meal. Ugh. She can have them Happy Meals. Okay. What I'm gonna do is go here. I think. I'm trying to think of how I had this laid out in my head. We'll read this for a little bit. It's just to refresh ourselves on Thom. Okay. Oh, and I mean, I had pulled some stuff up too for astral projection that, I know people are probably like, what? Remote viewing. And let's see here. Okay. I need this to be larger. Can we be larger? Okay. As long as that thing ain't going. It's not. Okay. So astral projection, often referred to as astral travel or out-of-body experience, OBE, is a concept in esotericism. Esoteric. Oh my gosh, esoteric. Whatever, esoteric. That posits the existence of a subtle body, the astral body or body of light, through which consciousness can function separately from the physical body. In this state, an individual's consciousness is believed to leave, right? Lori said she had a near-death experience, right? And this is like her way of introducing, I think this is her way of talking about it without talking about it. Okay. Because you're going to hear in a little while Tim Ballard. You're going to hear Tim Ballard talking to Thom. Hold on. I got a cough. A lot. So sorry. It hits you. It's so hot in here. Whew. Okay. I'm hot. I have no air in here. Okay. Back to here. Can I make this larger? I mean, this is kind of weird. All right. This is and I mean, there's times in Julie Rose podcast where she said she would spy on Chad, and I'm like, that really does sound like I was already speculating about this astral traveling stuff. I just didn't know anything about it, and I still barely do. I know more now than I did, but it's just let's just hear it out. It is a phenomenon. Okay, it was. We'll find out. We'll learn all about it right here. So. In this state, an individual's consciousness is believed to leave the physical body and travel to other dimensions, known as the astral planes, or to remote physical locations. Remember how they said they were gonna? He's like, I'm gonna come hold you and snuggle tightly, or whatever, some weird stuff. Let's break down the aspects you're interested in. I'm not. What is astral projection and where does it come from? Definition. At its core, astral projection is the intentional experience of consciousness separating from the physical body. Proponents, I mean, this is what you do in a near-death experience, from my opinion, just from, kind of observing and reading and here and there, Lori said that her spirit went down, right? Which is interesting. Some people pointed that out to me, that her spirit went down, she says. All right. Proponents describe it as a sensation of floating above one's body. Thom talks about that in his book. Sometimes even to other dimensions or astral planes, or origins and historical context. The idea of the soul or consciousness leaving the body is ancient and appears in numerous cultures and spiritual traditions worldwide, predating the modern term astral projection by millennia. Just saying it that way because that's how Lori says it. Ancient Egypt teachings. And so that's why I wrote it in red right here. Particularly in the Book of the Dead, there were rumors, this is just the hearsay stuff you hear, that Chad was dealing with the Book of the Dead and the Book of the Life and whatever. So here you go. Particularly in the Book of the Dead, describe the Ba soul or soul hovering above the body via the Ka, right? I hope I'm saying it right. Is it Bay or K? I don't know. Subtle body. Indigenous cultures, many shamanic traditions across the globe, such as I don't know how to say that, people of the Amazon have beliefs in quote unquote soul flights, where shamans can travel to other realms for healing, guidance, or communication with cosmological beings. Asian traditions, concepts akin to astral travel exist in various Buddhist and Hindu practices, often associated with advanced meditative states and the achievement of specific spiritual rites. Western esotericism. I suck at this. I can't pronounce these today. Esotericism. Anyways, theosophy. The term astral projection, I'm so sorry, y'all. The term astral projection itself gained prominence and was largely popularized by 19th century theosophists. Theosophy, founded by Helena Blavatsky. Okay. posited a system of 7 bodies or vehicles of consciousness from the physical to the highest spiritual and mental bodies. The astral body was believed to be capable of separating from the physical body and traveling on astral planes. These planes were often conceived as non-physical worlds existing alongside or within our own, sometimes corresponding to astrological spheres or spiritual realms. I need to go and let Megan in. I'm so sorry. Hey,
Hey,
I ain't got it today, girl. How are you?
I
Been
I'm
busy?
doing okay. Yeah, it's been busy and um, kind of overwhelming the last few days, so I'm with you. I feel you.
Oh, I'm just hot. Just hot. Well, I mean, you seem like you're overwhelmed, you know.
I mean,
Even
I'm
earlier when I watched your stream, I was like, stressful.
yeah, I mean, I'm doing okay, but there are just so many things that I care about that are happening right
Mhm.
now that I'm trying to lend my energy to. So I'm trying to be intentional about, you know, taking care of myself, doing my self-care and everything.
Yeah.
But I do get drained, really easily, and
Frazzled.
it's just there's only one of me to go around. you know,
Right?
that's the
Do
hard
you
part
ever
is
do
there's
you
a
ever
lot,
spread yourself too thin?
100% of the time. I mean, it's impossible to not spread yourself too thin when you have, I've got 6 kiddos and 2 grandkids and 2 dogs and my partner and his family, and I care about all of them. And then there's also things
Mhm.
like this. It's still raining outside right now.
Yeah.
My garage is about to flood,
Girl,
which
did you
I'm
lift
safe.
everything off? Did you lift all the important things off the floor at
Yeah,
least
so
in
yeah,
there?
so I have a problem with my garage flooding whenever we have days and days of rain. So it only floods on the one side. So I've removed everything from that
Yeah.
side except for the car.
Higher ground.
So everything, yeah, everything is in a safe place and everything. And it's really for me just it's more of an annoyance. It's not a danger
Mhm.
situation. Like there's
Yeah. Yeah.
no animals or people are in the way of the water. So I feel really
Mhm.
fortunate about that. But, Kerrville, the place that's flooding the most, my parents used to live there.
Whoa.
I have ties to that community. I have friends who live there. It's it's a it's a place I love. So it's hard to
You have
hear.
roots there. Mhm.
Yeah, and it's
Hmm.
also, anytime that there are kids who are dying, it's just going to be absolutely awful for me. There's
Yeah.
no way around that. And
So
I've told my partner so many times, like, I wish I didn't care. My life would be so
I
much
know,
easier if
right?
I didn't care. But
God.
I do care. And it's funny. Um,
What?
Somebody in the comments said, "Me can always seem so sad and depressed. Hope she's okay." Um,
Cheer up.
you know, I I'm not
She's serious.
depressed. The thing is that I get really serious about the things that I care deeply about, and I also I probably
I'm
appear
sorry.
emotional a lot. And the
Mhm.
thing is, that's because I allow myself to feel my emotions, whereas in the past I used to just put on a
True.
smile and pretend I was okay. So now
Oh,
I
I
don't
bet
I
that
don't
was
do that.
pretty. I
Oh,
bet
I
that was
mean,
real gorgeous.
it was years and years and years of people
You look
telling
like
me,
Lori, just
yeah,
a busted can of biscuits is what I called it.
literally it was people telling me all the time, Megan's always got a
Mm,
smile on my face. You're always so happy. But inside I was deeply, deeply, deeply depressed. The thing
wow.
is that's great now is that I get sad about something like the flooding, and then I do a live stream where I'm able to advocate for people donating money and people showing up and
Yeah.
volunteering and helping. And then I'm okay. Because if I can do
Mhm.
something about it, if I can release those emotions, then it doesn't live in me. And then I can go on
Amen.
and just, I had my son over. I can't even believe I have a 28-year-old son.
Shut up. I have a
His
20
birthday's tomorrow.
it's 25, so I have a 25-year-old.
Yeah.
Oh my
And I
god, don't
and I
happy
have a
birthday.
30-year-old and 2 grandkids. So Anyway, it was
Me too,
just
you're
it
my
was
mom.
fun.
I'm just kidding. I'm 47. You're good. Oh my God.
Yeah.
30 and 6 kids. That's just
Yeah.
anyways, I don't even wanna talk to you right now. Freaking have a whole, with Brady Bunch. You look like you're 12.
You know, I just feel really grateful. I feel really grateful that,
Yeah.
we all came out of Mormonism alive. I feel like that's a victory,
Ooh,
and that also I have great relationships with my kids. Like, there's not a single one of my kids that right now at this time is like, "You know what? I need space from you."
there you go.
I feel like I have
That's
really, really
winning.
good relationships with my kids,
Yeah.
and I wear my sunscreen.
Well, my daughter didn't, and so we talked last night, and so she was like, "I'm burnt," and I was
Mm,
like, "You didn't wear sunscreen?" She was like, "No." I'm like, "You're gonna next time," and I was like, "Never mind, just don't even lie to me right now. Just don't even
yeah,
lie." I was
and
young too
also
and couldn't do it. Wear your sunscreen, you tan better. Anyways, alright. Tell your mom.
yeah, and also
Tell
it's kinda
Janice.
close to home
Just
because
pick it too late.
oh my gosh,
Alright.
yes. I sent my daughter to a new camp. In the
Yeah.
past, she's only ever gone to Mormon girls camp. So this
Oh,
is the first summer she went to a non-Mormon affiliated summer camp, and she was gone for 6 days, and I'm just grateful that
well,
she's home alive, It's like,
mhm.
uh, you
She
know,
could be a camp.
it was a camp in the hill country. I mean, I don't think it wasn't
Same
close to where all the flooding is right now, but she
It's the
came
same
home.
concept, though,
Yeah, it's like
Mother Nature coulda happened anywhere, can happen anywhere, and so,
yeah, yeah,
you know yeah, that's very heavy right there. Just if you just let that sit, like, I'm thinking yeah, let's move on.
yeah, like,
Like,
yeah.
that's why I never could watch news. Were you like that too? Like,
Oh,
I
I
would
still don't.
stay away.
I still
Well,
don't. And
but I'm
it's
like
one
a
of those
button.
things where, like, before the Lori case happened, I never watched the news or kept track of it. Like, if I wanted to know something, I would go look it up myself. I
Mhm.
would go search out the specific places where I wanted
Yeah.
to read about facts and everything like that. Um, and I'm still that same way
Oh, Natalie.
because I know the places where I can go seek out news where it's gonna be unbiased. And yeah, and the sad thing about Mystic is that there were people from all over the country. It wasn't just
Mhm.
Texas, and I can't even imagine, like, living in one of the girls was from
France.
Alabama, you know?
Wasn't one of the parents or whatever from France or something?
I don't
I don't
know.
know
I
what
didn't.
it is. I don't wanna spread anything.
Right,
But
yeah,
I
and that's
remember
the other
Drew
thing,
saying
there's
that.
so much misinformation that goes around when stuff like this happens too, so anyway.
It happens in cases too, okay?
Oh, totally.
I'm watching it change now. I'm like, "Can we" it's July 22nd, 2020 is the day the end of the world was. It was my ex-husband's birthday. It still is. That's why I know that. Charles said it.
Yeah. Yeah, and
He
so
knows in the papers.
part of it is, like, getting the accurate information out there and making sure that
Mhm.
people don't
Yeah,
spread
right.
rumors when it's already, a terrible situation. And what I think about all the time is, whenever I was looking up news every day, when I was in the habit of just going to the news every single day to see what was happening because I didn't know. I think about
Yeah.
family members of
Mhm.
the victims going out there and reading something and going, "Oh my gosh, is that true?" And then
Oh,
turning
that's how
out
you
it's
found
not.
out, Megan. There's some trauma there, girl.
Yeah.
I think that just I'm sorry, I'm diagnosing you right now. Okay? You didn't
Um,
even know what you taught me already. You don't even know what you taught me already.
well, you don't need to. I 100% know I had complex PTSD
Yeah.
for a lot of years. I had clinical
Mm.
depression. I had major depressive disorder. I had anxiety. And,
Oh, yeah.
you know,
You got rid of anxiety? Because that's me. 15 years old is when it started. Well, I say that's when it started. That's when I got diagnosed. But I think, after the sentencing, I think I'm gonna go trigger digging or whatever. I'm gonna just go I don't know what that means. I'm just saying, like, go to a counselor, to a therapist, and just be like, "Alright, let's do this, okay? Let's roll the
yeah.
sleeves up."
I highly recommend EMDR for complex PTSD because you don't have to go in there and talk in detail about your trauma. And that's what I appreciated the most, is that I could just
Okay.
use code words.
Hmm.
For example, when I was trafficked as a child, I
Mhm.
didn't want to I didn't want to have to say all of that out loud to someone else because I know how traumatizing it is for other people. My therapist needed a therapist.
Yeah.
Um, and so I just used a code word and I just would say, okay, today we're going to process in the room. That's all. And
Okay.
I didn't have to say
Huh.
anything in detail. That was just my reference point. I knew what I was talking about. And when when you do EMDR, they do either the light that goes back and forth or the little tappers that you hold, and they stop you periodically to say, "What do you notice now?" Just to make sure that things are still progressing and that you're not stuck like in a trauma cycle.
That's
And when
I mean, I try to I think I played a little clip of it one time because Trace has done that and
mhm.
has talked about it, and I was like, "I don't know what that is," and so I still really don't, but
Well, it basically what they do is they set it up in a very specific way so that you're going to process a traumatic memory. And they set it up so that you really think about where it feels in your body. You think
Oh,
about the negative belief that you have about yourself because of what happened.
okay.
And then it's supposed to the trauma scene is supposed to play like a movie on fast forward. And the first one that I watched was it was an EMDR trained therapist who was doing a session for herself with another therapist, and she'd been in a car accident. And
Mm.
so they said to her, "Okay, what's the worst memory that you have of this car accident?" And she said, we were in the ditch and the car was facing downward."
Mm.
And the therapist said, "What's the negative belief you had about yourself?" And she was like, "I'm going to die." And he's like, that's not a negative belief about you. That's a scary
Okay.
thought."
That's the reality of life.
But digging through it, the negative belief was, "I'm not in control." She was
Ooh.
thinking, "I'm going to die because I can't change any of these circumstances." So the
I
negative belief
ooh,
that she had about herself is that I'm not in control of this situation and that makes me feel really scared. And so he would say, "Okay, what's the positive
yeah.
belief that you want to have about yourself?" And she said, "Well, the positive belief I want to have is that I am in control of how I feel." And so he said, "Okay, bring up that worst image and that negative belief." And then they start the processing, they start the light going. And the traumatic experience plays like a movie on fast forward. And as it
Wow.
plays, more feelings come up in your body, more thoughts come to your mind, and then I swear what happens is that your brain already knows what you need to do in order to heal. And your brain sort of like imagines yourself getting yourself out of that situation and being in control of your emotions and your feelings. And so what ends up happening is it literally retrains your brain. It carves new neural pathways so that
Mm.
now I have this negative experience, but I don't have any negative feelings associated with it. So I can talk about it freely without having an emotional reaction or response.
Mm.
And also, I believe new things about myself that I didn't believe before. Before,
Hmm.
I believed that I wasn't in control. And now I absolutely know that no matter what happens to me, I'm in control of how I respond.
Confidence,
Yes.
all those kinda
Yeah.
I just didn't
It's a
think, but
it's a deep belief
control.
in your own power, in your own ability to heal, and it's a deep belief that the bad things that happen to you are not because you're a bad person.
Right. 'Cause there's so much I've been listening to you about the shame being attached to so many things, and I'm like, it
Yeah,
really is. Like, I never sit there and think about it, I really don't, but
yeah,
I know I need to, and that's why they say body keeps the score, right? The body
yeah.
keeps the score. I mean, I am a and, look, I'm just I say whatever, okay? I've always kinda said this, but I feel like I don't even know. I feel like one big Kegel exercise, one big walking Kegel, okay? I'm always just grind my teeth. Grit my teeth. I grind them while I'm sleeping. Ashlyn does too, so does my mom. And, Yeah. I mean, just I've been like that for a very long time, but there's things I need to go and heal from in the past that I was like, that doesn't bother me. It never bothered me. Does it? Or am I just really good at being numb or something,
Yeah,
and just suppressing it?
so many times we minimize, it's called minimization. We minimize what happened to us because we don't want it to bother us, but it
Mhm.
does. And, the minimization is another way of not showing up for ourselves, not allowing ourselves to acknowledge how difficult it was or how bad it
Yeah.
was. And that was, I think, the most healing thing for me about therapy was saying out loud some of the things that happened and watching the reaction of my therapist. Because I would say,
Mm.
well, it wasn't a big deal, but here's what happened. And my
Right.
therapist would be like,
Wow.
are you serious? That's not
Right.
okay. You know? So it was validation
Mm.
for me that, yeah, it was that bad. And yeah, it's perfectly understandable that you feel the way that you do about it. It's
Right.
perfectly understandable that you're traumatized by that because it was awful.
And that you kinda I mean, I think with all of those kind of things, trauma, abuse, things like that, where we do minimize.
Yeah.
The world minimizes it, we minimize it. We don't
Well,
wanna cause any ruffles,
well, it's also
you know?
because we're hiding the truth of it from ourselves because it's
Ooh,
easier for us to function on a daily basis if we pretend like it wasn't that bad.
whoa. Do you like, I have n my memory is horrible. Used to not be. I mean, I can remember long-term things, but I can't remember what I said 2 minutes ago.
Yeah,
So, does it improve things like that? I mean,
100%.
just to kinda
Because
discombobulate yourself?
part of the reason why our memory is not good is because we gaslight ourselves into thinking
Ooh,
it wasn't as bad as it was. And that
mhm.
creates this cognitive dissonance in our brain where there's a
Ooh,
part of our brain that's like, yes, it absolutely was that bad. But then there's the other part of our brain that's protecting us that goes, it wasn't that bad, you know?
I don't
And
wanna deal with it right now.
it's like putting a humidifier and a dehumidifier in the same room and letting them battle it out. Like it's not going to end
Mhm.
well.
I'm guilty of doing that myself right now in real time. Like, not right the second, but over this at least since the kids were found. I'm like, no, I don't wanna deal with that right this second, and I just kinda and I just kinda shut off to it, and
Yeah.
yeah, I don't think that's very healthy, but I just don't know if I can handle it at that time, or I don't have the energy at that time, or the brains I don't know. Like, I don't know what to do with it, but
Yeah, and there's also a phenomenon that I still battle with sometimes these days where I call it trauma brain, and it's
yep.
where somebody says something that I know is true,
Mhm.
but my brain literally kicks it out. And
Huh,
so somebody says it, my brain kicks it out, and I'm like, "You're gonna have to repeat that because I know I heard you
right,
say it, but I literally can't remember what you just said," because
right.
it creates so much friction. Our
'Cause you have to
trauma
think
brain is like,
about it.
it's because it's a new belief. It's a different belief than what we
Mm,
currently believe, and yeah, it's hard to retrain your brain to believe the things that are actually true instead of the story you told yourself because of the
wow.
trauma.
Ooh, that is some deep stuff for sure. Big time. Yeah, we all have
Yeah.
I have the trauma brain for sure. And I also have ADHD, which is why I'm hard to follow. I understand. I can't follow myself half the time.
Yeah.
Really. It's very and then the trauma on top of it, or I don't know, it just, like, exacerbate like, everything just and I don't know what's what, you know?
Well, there's also some good science to suggest that a lot of ADHD symptoms are actually just trauma, and that once you heal
Yeah.
from your trauma, your ADHD symptoms get better.
Whoa.
And that's actually the reason that I found out that I had ADHD is because I had been through so much EMDR therapy and so much,
Mm, okay.
DBT and CBT therapy. I was like, why is there still like this little thing that's hanging on? And
Right.
that was when my therapist was like, these kind of seem like he's like, I don't think you have more trauma to process. I think that you have some ADHD symptoms and maybe you should get tested. So I went to go get tested, and yeah, I mean, it was a slam dunk pretty much.
Whew. I was listening. I just was coughing.
You're
Sorry.
good. You're good. You're good.
Yeah. I don't know why. I just have a tickle, and it's driving me crazy. But deep, great word to describe EMDR. Ooh, I'm a deep. I'm deep. Okay, I'm philosophical. I like to explore. So that sounds like my cup of tea. And Huggy Bear says Tim's in Brazil, getting ready to launch his new grift with an SRA angle. You heard it here first. I know. I
Yeah.
saw it in the DMs, and that's when I found out that Tim Ballard blocked me. I was like, winning. I ain't even started yet. Boo. Okay. He's
I
just
said
getting
this on
ready.
my interview with Kirsten, who was her family was close with the Coxes when they lived here in San Antonio.
She's so cute. She's so
I
sweet
just
too. She's my
yeah, I
lover.
just love her. She's and her laugh is amazing. Um,
Yes.
but I said, and I'm going to keep saying this over and over. It is a privilege to be rejected by dysfunctional people.
There you go. Hey,
So
that's another way to look at it there. That's
Tim Ballard
winning.
rejecting you is a privilege.
It
That's a
is. I mean,
win.
I'm
That's a
just
win.
like, the trash took itself out, you know? I didn't even have
Exactly.
to go and figure out how to do it on Twitter or X or whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, whatever socials they're using these days. What's that other one? Telegram that he uses.
Yeah.
Anyways, allegedly. But,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, good one. Yeah, for sure. Um, but did you yeah, I don't wanna boggle your mind with all my stuff with
Oh, no, I'm
did you
fine. You boggle my
you
mind all
sure?
you want.
You
Yes,
want
I'm
me to
here
just
for you.
show and tell?
I'm
Show
here
and
for
tell?
you 100%.
Yay! Alright. Okay, so what I have in the vault is and I don't know if you saw it early I know I sent you a screenshot of it,
Yes.
though, but let me figure out which here I am
Speaking of
trying to figure out which
coughing.
frame to do it in. Okay. Um, we were over here. Let's see. Make sure. Okay. So I was looking at oh my gosh, let me get to the beginning here. Oh, I found a link on Reddit last night after I was reading one of John Pontius's fireside chats that
Mhm.
I've read before, but again, it's just all new meaning, or I'm just like for sure. You're like you cannot deny his talk is just a pitch to people like Lori and Chad, in my opinion, who are anyways, trying to look for an exaltation. And I mean, I've got clips of all this stuff. I've got Mike Stroud saying, and I mean, it could just be scripture thing, whatever. I'm just saying, it's just a little too weird to be just scripture stuff because these people don't act like scripture. They act like some thieves in the night. Okay, they
Yeah.
just being. I mean, they act like they're Christian, but they're not, and they're posers, they're grifters, they're fake, they're frauds. In my opinion, they just really are. I'm not saying all people, these people. Okay. Well, anyway,
Yeah.
so I downloaded this book for free, and I'll find the link for you in a little bit. First person I saw that wrote right here, what do you call this? A review. What readers are saying about Visions of Glory, and this is back in 2017 because this is a 5-year anniversary, and
Yeah.
Visions of Glory came out in 2012. So it says Spencer's unique medical background was by far the most helpful in bringing me out of my challenges I was facing. He is a great man trying to do good in the world, and he has done a lot for me. Ken Krogh, founder and president, InsideSales.com. Shocker. I was like, nobody else has names. All these other
Right.
reviews are
So it could
just
be anyone or made up.
all, I mean, right. Just, I mean, Chat GPT go. Right. So, I mean, here we're on page 4, and I'm just like, okay, whatever. And, I have 2 of these books. I have 2 hard copies here, highlighted, all that good stuff. Anyways, and then I'm just like, okay, piracy is illegal. So, and immoral, by the way. I'm just like, okay, let's talk about immoral because we're about to get there. And then, I don't know what all this stuff is called. Again, I never was a book reader. I mean, I read if I had to, and now I do because it's how I learn. And
Yeah.
so this right here, I never saw this before. And it says Visions of Glory, 5-year anniversary. And it says number 1, astral projection, case studies. Number 2, visions, case studies. 3, eschatology. 4, Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, doctrines. 5, Mormon Church, doctrines. And title, whatever.
By the
And I'm
way,
just
side
like,
note,
wow.
did you know
Yeah,
that they are dropping the Latter-day Saint portion of their name?
that's gross. They just need to keep that part.
So I just went on. I went on the Rebecca Biblioteca channel. It's called
Yeah.
Mormonish podcast, and she's really up on all things LDS. Like she really keeps her finger on the pulse of the breaking news. And
We
she
appreciate
just
her.
reported today that they are dropping the Latter-day Saint portion of their name. And in my opinion, this is all part of a rebranding effort that kind of started when they started replacing the
I am
little
a
Moroni
Mormon.
figure. Well, they
Yep.
started replacing the Moroni figure on Google Maps with a cross. Crosses have never been a thing in Mormonism.
No,
Never.
but it's on Stacy's grave, right?
Well,
Let me fix
okay,
it
but here's the reason for that. It's a totally completely separately different thing.
here.
When
Allegedly. Just
so
kidding. Go ahead.
I was there, so this is not allegedly, this is real.
All right.
So after Stacy's funeral, my family, me, I just will speak for myself, expected to go to a graveside service where Stacy would be buried. And it turned out that there was some kind of obfuscation, double speak about, well, we had a disagreement with the cemetery and they couldn't accept blah, 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 something, something, money, blah, blah, blah. We're not doing it today. And I was like,
Hmm.
oh, okay. Because normally after the service, you do the motorcade to the cemetery
Yeah.
with at least the family does, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's
Mm-hmm.
totally what I expected to have happen. But no, we didn't do any of that. And then a few months later, I was asking my dad, and we actually saw the mock up of the headstone that they wanted to have. And they were like, sorry, we're not going to do the burial as a family, but here's what we chose for the headstone. Y'all, I did not know where Stacy was buried until 3
Yeah.
years ago. I didn't know because
Yeah. That's
we never
crazy.
got told. Like our part of the family never got told. And I didn't find out until I saw a post of a post. It wasn't even the actual post because I got blocked on all the social media, but
Oh
it
my
was
God.
Melanie and Summer visiting
Yep.
Stacy's grave in San Antonio. And I was like, "What? She was buried in San Antonio this whole time?" And I
Right
didn't
there.
even know. I didn't
But
even know.
they lived in California, right? Or they moved?
No,
Wait.
they lived in San Antonio. Stacy died in 1998. They lived in San Antonio until 2005 and they had to leave in the middle of the night
Oh my
because the
God.
IRS was going to repossess their house.
And
And
that's
this
crazy
whole
how,
time we were just told like Stacy was cremated and we didn't really have a burial spot. I found out from this freaking post of a post. Somebody posted this in Reddit of Summer or Melanie's post where they were visiting Stacy's grave. It's right here in San Antonio. And the reason there's a cross on the headstone is
mm,
because they chose a Catholic cemetery and that was their stipulation. Like you have to put a cross on the headstone if you're going to bury her in a Catholic cemetery, even though she's not Catholic.
yeah, that
So
is
you guys,
about as wild as Chad Daybell and doing what he did.
I've literally never been to visit Stacy's grave because I didn't know it was here this whole
Oh,
time.
I'm so
And when I
sorry.
saw the headstone with the cross on it, I was like, "What the hell is that?" Because crosses are
Yeah.
not a thing in Mormonism, and I didn't
No.
realize until I realized that she was buried in a Catholic cemetery, and that was the agreement that they had to make. And also, they also misspelled separate.
I know. I showed that to you because it was like SEP. ER.
Where did you
Or
get this picture?
on that documentary you were in. Mm-hmm.
That's my parents' house.
Is it?
Yep.
Are these? Oh my
No.
gosh. Well,
So
they probably might
the
have came from you then.
the lady in
Yeah.
red, go back one. The lady in red is the other sister, whose name I don't ever say.
Okay.
And her husband is next to her. And then Adam's wife, Nicole, is the blonde. And then, of
Okay.
course, that's Summer and Stacy and Adam, and Barry is holding Colby, and Lori is on the other side.
Stacy just looks really healthy here. And
She,
this
yeah,
guy right here, he looks like Braxton. If I could,
yeah, that's Braxton's dad.
yeah, okay, that makes sense then. That makes a lot of sense.
I mean, even
It's,
with the face blurred, you can tell that's Braxton's dad.
yeah,
It's
you
funny.
can tell. I can picture him right there.
But do you
You
guys
know.
see, like, I want to say this was Thanksgiving, and Stacy died the following
Oh.
April. But this is why I say, like, she was beautiful, she was smart,
Mhm.
she, you know, she just had
Yeah,
this
a glow
bright
about her.
light
She
about
had,
her. Yeah,
yeah,
I
totally.
loved spending time with Stacy. She she was
Yeah.
just
I'm not
kind. She
trying
was
to be
just kind
sad.
and good. That's all. She was just kind and
I
good.
can I can see the good in, like, I can see Melanie
You see
in
Melanie's
her,
features,
and that's
right?
the good in Melanie that
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
once was, and I believe. I'm
Mhm.
not saying she's damned forever, I'm just saying she got some explaining to do. That's
She
all.
does. And I said this on my live the other night, and I think I'm going to keep saying it because I think eventually it's going to get back to her. I think
Yeah.
the very best thing that Melanie could do is to go and talk to the police and talk to the prosecutors and confess everything that she's been involved with. And I
Mhm.
will sit beside her and hold her hand while she confesses. I will sit
Yep.
beside her and hold her hand while she pleads guilty. I will sit beside her and hold her hand until they take her away. And I think
Mhm.
that is probably the very best thing that she could do if she
Yep.
really has remorse for her involvement. And for the best thing that she could do is say everything that she knows so that the
Yeah.
people who love the victims can have the answers that they need.
And it's just the right thing to do, period.
Yeah.
And, it's like as long as she's looking for a victim's advocate, that's no bueno, you know? Um
Well, I'll be her victim's advocate. I'll sit with her. I
You know what
seriously,
I'm saying. No,
I
I
do.
mean, I
Yeah, I
get what
do.
you're
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah,
I'm just
I
saying,
know why you're saying that because she asked she asked for a victim's
yeah,
advocate
yeah, couple times.
just like her Aunt Lolo did.
Mhm.
But if she needs an advocate, if she needs somebody to sit with her, I will do it. I'll be there with her 100% every step of the way. I'll come visit her in jail. I will put money on her books so she can have what she needs while she's in there. But I
And
think
stand.
that's
Yeah, well spoken.
yeah.
Jermaine wants to know, was Stacy the scapegoat of the Cox family?
I don't think well, I mean, maybe to a certain degree. I think she started out as the golden child because I remember her telling me when I started middle school and she was in high school. I remember her telling me when she got to 6th grade, she realized how important it was to have really good grades. And from that point on, she had a 4.0, period. Like
Wow.
just a straight A student. And she said, um, just make sure that you're really focusing on always just getting good grades, and then you'll get into college and you'll be able to have a good career. And Stacy was really smart. She was a math major at BYU.
Wow. Yeah, that's
She
something I am not. So,
yeah. And the thing is that is so tragic is that she knew she was smart. She knew she had a future. I just think that I think there were a lot of obstacles to her being able to have a healthy and normal life, and I feel so deeply sad about that.
yeah. Yeah. Totally understandable. Um, and we'll never know, that's
Yeah.
the bad part, and it doesn't you've told me so many things about just the generational stuff, and how enmeshed, I mean, just the bad lines of communication, the all kinds of things. You told me I just can't name them because, I don't have them. I don't have them memorized yet, okay? But, I mean, I get it. I identify, a lot of things that you say, and I think a lot of us do, and I think you help a lot of us kind of defrag our own
Yeah. I mean,
family lies,
so many of us have dysfunctional elements to our family, and it doesn't have to be, as dysfunctional as this family, but all of us have these experiences that we can't quite account for. Why did this go wrong, or why did this happen that way? And I think the more that we each talk about how we healed, the more we can help other people just have that light bulb moment where they say, "Oh wow, I guess you're right. That was unhealthy." I think a
Mhm.
lot of us minimized, a lot of us dissociated, and a lot of us, tried to just go along to get along. And I'm just here to tell people you don't have to do that anymore. You don't have to pretend everything was okay.
Exactly. I think because of our own upbringings, like I had to minimize things. I did, I
Yeah.
had to kind of soothe my own wounds and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
I was elated when my brother came along and I was 8 years old and I was like, oh my God, my own life baby doll. And that's probably why he's where he is now. I'm just- no, but, I mean, anyways, I mean, that was a blessing to me, and I mean, I was 8, but, the more I've grown and realized, I'm just like, "Wow." You really do a lot of kids maybe, come from the same dynamic where, I leaned I leaned on my brother. I looked over, I was like a little mother goose, and kinda how Tylee was with JJ, and
Yeah.
they just they loved each other. And they were each other's kinda safety too, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah. And I feel that way about my sister. She was born when I was 6 years old. And when my mom, she didn't want to find out if she was having a boy or a girl.
Oh,
She's the youngest. And when my mom told me that I had a baby sister, I literally cried. I was
I could
so
figure.
happy that I cried.
Oh, you were happy,
Um,
okay.
no, I
Some,
was, yeah, because I had these 2 brothers. I had an older brother, I had a
oh,
younger brother. And so it was like finally I was gonna have somebody on my side, somebody that I could, bond with, be with, and she and I grew up just loving each other. We hardly ever fought or disagreed, even though we shared a room, and I would play my
that's
music
hard.
really loud at night when she was trying to sleep. But, as soon as I got my driver's license, I was that big sister that would take her everywhere with
Aw,
me. I would take her places, buy her ice cream, take her and her friends shopping.
that's
And we've
sweet.
we've have remained close to this day. And she was a lifesaver for me because I knew that I had at least one person that I could
Yeah,
relate to that cared about me,
is
you
your
know?
friend.
Yep.
Right. Yeah. Blessed girl. I
Yep.
mean, I think so. I never had any sisters, and so thank you, Lord Jesus. I don't I'm just like, "No, now." I mean, and I have to say that because my dad has a 5 or 6-year-old, and I'm just like, "Okay, that's enough. That's enough. We're done. We're not." Your grandchildren are older than your children. Okay,
Yeah.
stop.
Well, we're sisters
But
now.
yeah, so take that, dad.
Bonus sister.
Yeah. Our other dad is really cool too. We have we have more than one dad. We have, more than one mom. We just love whom we wanna love, and that's awesome, right?
Yeah. Yep.
I think so.
Chosen family.
I didn't know what you were meaning by that the other day, and then I was like, "Oh, I get it."
Yeah,
It
like
makes
these like blood is not as important as people make it out to be, because what
Mm-mm.
matters is the people who actually care about us and want the best for our future.
And want to be there and choose to be there, and,
Yeah.
I mean, that's golden, Again,
Yep.
and you get to put these, or you don't get to put them there, but I don't know, sometimes it just kind of happens. And
Now, why am I not surprised that McSpunky's a middle child? I love it.
right. That makes all
It
the
tracks.
sense now.
It tracks.
Yeah, totally mixed funky. I was, oh my gosh, my first married name was a Mac. I won't tell you any more than that. But it was MC, and I was like, "Oh." Anyways, I know he's just mixed funky, but still, he's a handful, huh?
I love it when
Or so I've
McSpunky
been
comes
told. No,
around.
I'm kidding.
Well,
I've seen him around.
there's always a laugh, and that's what I love about having McSpunky around.
He is funny, that's for sure.
Yeah.
He's the life of the party sometimes.
Mhm.
Um, well, anyways, so I mean, just this whole astral projection thing, I was like, confirmed. Okay, so check. And not just astral projection, but case studies.
Yeah,
That's
so that's what I'm really
intriguing.
curious about. When you sent me that, I was like, "I wanna know the case studies. Do we get to read
Yeah,
these or see
well,
these
that
or
would be
what?"
Chad, that would be Julie, because I mean, I'm just going off the rumors that I heard, that if I mean, just saying, if they were meeting with Thom Harrison anywhere, whether it's the Salt Lake City office or Chad Daybell's yard, where I mean, and if you go back and listen to David Warwick testify, he talks about all these
Oh, man.
people we've seen before on flyers, John Miller, who lives in Rigby,
Mhm,
um, all those old OGs is what I call them. But you just and he mentioned Thom Harrison's name. Okay,
mhm.
so how long has Thom Harrison been around, and why is Thom Harrison? Why does he have his hand in our case, in Julie, or not in anyways, that's gross. On in Julie's life and in Tim Ballard's life and in Jody's life. I mean, one would say, and I mean, here I am with my, I wouldn't call it a conspiracy brain, but I'm just saying, I've read before, where they have these. I mean, I just read it with the New World Order. It's not my conspiracy though, damn it. This is where they're going. This is their agenda. Okay? They're the conspiracy theorists. They're the secret combinations. They are these people. And it said, okay, right here. And I don't like this word right here, cabal. I don't like it at all. I feel silly saying it. But many influential historical and contemporary figures have therefore been alleged to be part of a cabal that operates through many front organizations to orchestrate significant political and financial events, ranging from causing systemic crisis to pushing through controversial policies at both national and international levels as steps in an ongoing plot to achieve world domination. I'm not accusing them of trying to achieve world domination. I'm just saying that this whole orchestrate thing right here, and the political part, yeah, I can definitely see those streaks in there, but it's these. I already had the suspicion, anyways. The OUR being sponsored by Chad's company the weekend that Tylee was murdered. Book of Mormon evidence being in Rexburg the weekend that JJ was murdered. I'm like, I already thought they
Yeah.
were front organizations, and they're already
Oh,
people that I believed hid behind Christ. Okay, I knew that from jump. Like before
mhm.
even getting into any of this stuff, because I'm like, why are they're religious. You think religious, or I did, being from Southwest Louisiana, not knowing anything about Mormonism except for compassion, pass it along. That was it. That's all I ever knew about it. And boy, I learned a really, really huge lesson, still am. But I mean, I was just like, why? But they're all like hiding, it made no sense in my mind. So, but, but wait, there's more, there's always more. And, if you yeah, let me go grab it real quick. I don't know if you wanna talk. 'Cause, uh,
Well, I guess,
I gotta find
the thing that concerns me and where what you were talking about just now, where they're trying to manipulate things, what immediately comes to mind for me is the Avow website, the A Voice of Warning website.
Tell us about it.
Well, I have somebody who subscribes, or they're a subscriber on that website. They belong. They've got like a username, and they're basically like a lurker. They don't really like
Mhm.
engage with posts or whatever, but they get the emails all the time.
Yeah, and Avow gets the
And
subscriber, so
right, right, and so this person forwards their, I want to say it's almost nearly a daily email. Um,
Mm.
Several times a week will send me that email, and the top topics that they're always talking about is like United States Civil War. I really
Mhm.
believe they are warmongers. Like
Oh, yeah.
they want a civil war to happen in the United
I
States. It's like
and
that's
I
what they're
when you
gearing up
said
for.
that, I was like, "Okay, that's what I'm gonna have to start saying because I sound like the kooky person, just
Well,
because they're accelerationalists, that's not my fault." How do you research conspiracy theorists without looking like a kook yourself, you know?
let me just pull up the most recent one that they sent me.
Alright. I, yeah. I
Because
mean,
what they'll say is like these are the top topics on the Avow website. It's ldsavow.com. ldsavow.com. Anybody can go, become a member for free. If you pay for it, you get, extra special whatever.
yeah, you get to
Um,
the boom boom room like Chad did,
right, which
whatever.
is they put Chad and
It's
Julie's
like
stuff behind a
Patreon is
paywall.
what it is. That's how I look at it. It's like
Yeah,
Patreon, it's a paywall, you know, but you're not doing nefarious stuff with your
so
Patreon, is what I'm saying.
um, here are just the subject lines of these emails.
Mhm.
June 5th, a dozen earthquakes rock the U.S. town sitting on top of a sleeping giant fault. June 6th, 20 things to do now to prepare for grid down and infrastructure attacks. June 2nd, visions of apocalypse.
Mm.
Um, June 13th, Middle East war. Will Iran blockade the Straits of Hormuz? June 11th, early warning alert in all caps. Attack on Iran likely. June
Oh,
14th, could Israel and Iran's war turn nuclear? Escalation scenarios. June 16th, Trump tweets warning everyone should immediately evacuate. So all of this looks like we're preparing for war.
yep.
Can you survive without the grid?
Yeah.
Just all
And
of
if
this
you're
kind
already
of
in that
stuff.
mindset and that is your only or your main source of news, like I suspect it is for a lot of these people,
Mhm.
if not very like-minded, sister, uh, social medias type things, but and I mean, yeah, Michelle Clifford, correct. The CIA created conspiracy theories. The label, they did. I read it. I read it for myself. I went and researched that myself because I was like, no way. And yeah, they did. When people start asking questions, they label them. And I mean, I'm just saying, if so, then it's just like these perpetrators who are like, liar, and they go for the character assassination. They get people to stop, you know, they say you're lying. And that way people won't believe you. And
Right.
then you're crazy. And then people don't believe the victim or the person, the kid, usually.
Character
Um,
destruction is such an old tactic.
Joseph Smith did
Anytime,
it.
yeah, I mean,
He did.
people in power have always done it to people who threaten their power.
Mhm.
Always.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
what I remember about my cousin Braxton's interview with Hidden True Crime
Yeah.
was that he said, when you have prepared for something for so long, you want it to happen.
This blew my mind when he said
You
that.
want
I
it
was
to
like,
happen
"What?"
because you want to be tested. You want to know if you've done a good enough job. So
That
they're
is
looking forward
freaky.
to it, even to the point where I believe they would cause it
Okay, that
if
tracks
they
though.
had to, because they want it to happen so badly that they're like, well, I mean, we don't really want to go to war, but if somebody attacks us, then I guess we're going to have to respond. It's not a it's not a question anymore. It's not a question of if anymore. It's a question of
It's
when.
when. When. Yeah, because, how many more Braxtons are there? And I mean, that's just rhetoric. I don't wanna know that. I'm not trying to invite the universe to, send me a number or anything. I'm just like,
Yeah,
it
and
it's just
Spencer
something
saying
to not it's something to note and keep in your head, like, to be aware about and
right. And Spencer saying Braxton's interview scared the crap out of me. What scared the crap out of me is that Braxton's not the only one. There
no,
are hundreds of
prepper
people.
pride. There's
Yes.
Paul okay, so I wondered if Paul Hutchinson, who was also on that show, I do believe like, I have not gone and looked at this for myself, so I just remember, Lynn Packer was reporting on Paul Hutchinson, OUR, Tim Ballard, the whole kit and caboodle, and I wanna say that he was, on that show, and so I'm making myself a mental note, that way I can go look later. But I wonder if Braxton knows. I'm just asking. I know it could be just a it's just one of those questions I just wanna ask. Does Braxton know Paul Hutchinson by any chance? Because
Yeah.
turns out that do you remember Adam? Okay. Adam was supposed to go and talk to Charles and Lori's stake president, and his name is Shane Holmes. And I know that because I saw it in the report.
Yeah. Yeah, it was in the text messages in Charles's trial.
Okay. All
Holmes.
right. I'll be right back.
Okay, so for those of you who are asking about Braxton, Braxton is also my cousin, different family than Lori, but the sister of Janice. And he is an extreme prepper. And he was even on several TV shows about prepping, teaching people how to prep for the end times, basically. He is
Yeah.
likely the one who introduced Lori to the book Visions of Glory. Um, he was a little vague
He's
about
not
it. He wasn't
no
exactly
harm.
sure if he had given it to her, but they bonded over that book. They loved talking about that book together. And Braxton, in that interview, says he thinks it's all good fun. Well, Lauren Matthias pushes him and says, do you think that this part is real? Do you think this is true? And basically where Braxton landed is that yeah, he believes in demonic possession. He believes that when you sin, for example, looking at pornography or
Mhm.
drinking alcohol, that when you do that, that a rip happens in your soul
Yeah.
where a demon can enter in and possess your body. So he believes that. He believes
He
that
believes in Thom
100%.
Harrison's book.
He believes in Thom Harrison's book. And there's even a
Sorry.
point in the interview where he sort of identifies with Lori and he basically says, the end times are going to be horrible. I wouldn't want my kids to live through that.
And then he's like, "But I see no qualms with it." He has no issues with it. It's so bizarre. That is a bizarre interview.
Michelle Clifford says, "Man, Megan, you were really born into the wrong family." And you know
Yeah.
what? You know what is really funny? Funny and sad is that when I was in first grade is when the movie Annie came out, and my mom loved that movie, and she made me a dress like the Annie dress. It was a red dress with a little white collar, and in my first grade talent show, I sang that song, "The Sun Will Come Out Tomorrow." But the song that
Tomorrow.
I always identified with was the one called Maybe. And it was basically Annie fantasizing about her real parents and where they were and what they might be doing. And I remember as a child, even that age, at 7 years old, I remember thinking, this can't be my real family. Maybe I
Mm.
have parents out there who love me somewhere.
Whoa. Yeah, that's pretty heavy, girl. And I'm so sorry. You know, I mean, I don't know if I had the same thoughts, but I had been, estranged, I guess, from my real dad, and but my mom and my stepdad, who I thought was my, anyways, that's too much, but um, and her, my stepdad that was raising me, I was like 4 or 5 maybe, and my grandma, my paternal grandmother would come and babysit me while they would, do whatever. And she introduced me to my real dad. And
Mm.
so I guess I'm pretty sure there's a lot of confusion from when I was a child because it's like, here, this is your dad. And I'm just like, oh, okay, hey, I mean, just, I don't know anything. I don't know any better. I'm a child. And I remember we lived close to an airport and I would pack my little bag and I would just go stand outside and I'd be like, "Hey, I'm ready." And just stand out there and try to wave the plane down. Kind of just a
Yeah,
memory I have. I don't know. Okay.
yeah.
Oh, oh, I hit the wrong damn thing. Of course I did. Of course I did. This, I mean, you're gonna you're gonna want to see this. Trust me. I just wish I had it all pulled up on my computer back there, which is the story of my life.
By the way,
Hmm.
MS asking if my parents have the same belief as Lori's parents, and I can say my parents are much more grounded in mainstream LDS theology, and they don't really have the out there
Yeah,
sort of like reincarnation weirdness. So,
that is
not really.
wild. That is wild, and so I guess it does really upset people who, like your parents, are not extreme, like Janice and Barry,
Yeah,
allegedly,
like
like
the
Chad and Lori. Yeah.
yeah, mainstream members are really upset by extremists and people who kind of extrapolate their own things out of doctrine that doesn't exist because it's like, no, that's wrong. You can't just make something up like that and pretend
Wow.
like it's true, but
But then it's
it's
like, I'm like, "Well, strap them down." I
yeah,
mean, I get it, but they remain mostly quiet, and I mean, I say that. I don't know that for sure.
yeah.
Okay, so guess who this is? This is Shane Holmes, and it's from here it is. This Unblog My Soul, which is John Pontius's website,
Ugh,
and this is from the 2012 Unblog My Family reunion, which I have that on my channel for sure. I have that creepy talk, which is actually the transcript is written in the beginning of Visions of Glory, so if you
right.
wanna read it, which I would suggest people read it because it sucks. So, speaker, Shane Holmes, and I was like, "Interesting, interesting." So, I mean, it says right here, it says, "The Unblogged Family Reunion was held Saturday, September 2nd, 2012 in Utah Valley University's Grand Ballroom, Orem, Utah. Below are audio recordings of selected talks." And out of all the people to talk, we have who could possibly be Lori and Charles's Adam's friend, he said, allegedly. I mean, this guy who's a state president
Mhm.
who had control of Lori's temple recommend, if
Yep.
true. And he is right here as a speaker on none other than Thom Harrison's ride or die ghostwriter, John Pontius.
Which before you even
It is
play it,
wonderful to be here.
Oh,
sorry,
sorry. I meant to, I thought I hit it.
I don't know if this is the same stake president
There's
that Lori
another
went
one.
to, where she said, "I don't have a murderous heart, but I'm either gonna go to the temple or I'm gonna kill my
No,
ex-husband."
she said that was her bishop. So that could have
Okay,
been Gabe. It could have been another
different
one.
guy.
Either
Yeah,
way, it's
okay.
just
Thank
like,
you for
and
helping
I
me
found an yeah, it sucks.
put the pieces together.
It sucks. Because you're just like, "No way." I mean, it's spelt the same way, Shayne. While I'm playing this, he does give a shout out to do I give it away? Denver Snuffer. Oh, yeah, who's
Dear
also
God.
been, I mean, the same way that these people have distanced themselves away from Thom Harrison. Oh no, you know how Tom is blaming it on John. John died immediately, pretty much. And I think he's the scapegoat, in my opinion. That's how it
Yeah,
looks.
totally.
Where you can kind of do what you want to do and then not have any culpability.
Right.
And then you're like, I claim all responsibility, but call me Spencer. Okay. No. That's and you have a ghostwriter. No, sir. No, 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 no. I don't
Well,
think
to
so.
be honest with you, and I don't know if I've said this to you before or not, but I read this book. I read Visions of Glory as a faithful LDS person,
Mhm.
and I thought the
Yeah.
fact that Spencer was not using his real name, it lended some humility
It's
to it,
dubious. It could be.
lended some credibility to it, because it's like, if you are out there trying to make yourself important and trying to build
Mhm.
yourself up and get people to
I'm
believe
not
that
a
you're this great
guru though,
spiritual
Megan.
person,
Don't follow me. I'm not a guru.
well,
But I can
I
spot
mean,
it now. I'm like, but here, it's like bullshit. Bull spit. Okay.
brainwashed 2013 me
Bad.
absolutely, absolutely loved the book Visions of Glory until my sister started pointing out some things that were a little icky about it. And then I was
Or
like,
or when they're
oh,
handing it to you in a paper bag, like you said.
yeah,
You know,
exactly.
come on now,
Brought
ladies.
it to me in a manila envelope and was
There
like,
you go.
it's not scripture, so I'm not really allowed to promote it at church, but I think you're going to really love this book. And I did love it. And I actually even changed some of my daily behavior because of that book.
Wow.
And then
Lori
when
did a
I
lot of that,
I gave it to my
in
sister
my
and I was
opinion.
like, this is really amazing. It confirms so much of what we believe. I think it's awesome. Like, think about if the end times are really going to be
Yeah.
like this. We need to be prepared to be gatherers and to help, blah, blah, blah. And my sister was like, yeah, actually, this is super harmful.
Yeah,
This-
girl.
she's and
Wrong
actually
book.
what my sister said was,
Mhm.
yeah, so this guy, his office is right next to Jesus's.
Yeah.
And, what's weird is that Jesus is coming to his office to talk to him rather than, like Jesus summoning him and
Yeah.
saying,
Same with
"Come
Chad, and
come and
I'm telling you, I think it's just a way that they communicate with one another. I mean, I understand, like, the basic you're not g like, most people going in to read this stuff besides Kresha K, okay, are going in, like, "Okay, it was recommended," it's like, "Okay, you're in this frame of mind," like, not totally, but open to it. You're open to it. The
Right,
suggestibility is everywhere.
right, and when I went back to read it after opening my eyes and getting out of the
Mhm.
Mormon ether and getting out of my family ether and actually being, cognizant to so much of the harm and everything, I was honestly disgusted and floored by the things that I reread and re-listened to, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe that I fell
Yeah.
for this stuff," and I was horrified by it, um, and
But aren't you,
honestly,
like, questioning why Lori is hooked on it like crack?
I'm not, because the thing that is so compelling to LDS people about near-death experience books is that it is people of different faiths having a very similar experience
Mhm.
near death that
Like-minded people.
validates
Mhm.
what Mormons believe about death. And so Mormons are out there looking for anything that's going to validate their beliefs, because I think on a deep level,
You're
they
right.
know how unbelievable it is and how difficult it is for people to, like, how do you believe this stuff? It's so
Mm,
outlandish. But
okay.
then they're like, oh, we believe that you're going to be transported in a tunnel of light to the people that you love as soon as you die. So when a Catholic person says it or a Lutheran person says it, and it's people corroborating what LDS people believe, they're like, see,
Mhm.
we were right. We were right all along.
But what if you were obsessed with remote viewing, astral projection, or portaling, as they called it, and your cousin, her niece, was also raving about astral projection, portaling, remote viewing, same thing, and you marry a man outside of your own your own marriage, you cheat on your husband of 13 years, and then you plot to murder him, you plot to murder his wife, and then you plot to murder your children, and then her, your nieces, all the people, okay, and all this, and it's all to go and be with Chen's Daybell, and who's going to meet a man to teach him not how to read visions of glory, or is it, is it some kind of added? Because I mean, I was already reading it before a while back, and I was suspecting that there's more. He's writing about his experiences doing this stuff because I knew about Janet Russin. Okay. She's doing this stuff. Blaze Media, aka Glenn Beck, is writing about how, oh, he included that in an article all about Janet Russin and how, she was being accused of being Tim Ballard's intel for finding children, okay?
Yeah.
And not successful. She's sitting there, doing these readings and stuff. We have them online, you know? And there's just it's like I'm not stupid, okay? I'm really not. And I am the LDS. Crushy is to LDS what Turtle Boy is to Ken. Okay? I just learned about him. But I'm just saying that made me laugh because like, yeah, no. Um I have a
Well,
lot of critical thinking. I do, especially when it comes to, like, what are they up to, you know?
well, here's one little nugget that maybe never Mormon, non LDS people don't really
Mhm,
understand is that
mhm.
probably 90% of Mormons are literal believers. Their belief is very, very literal. They
I've
believe
encouraged
that
it.
the things in the Book of Mormon literally happened. They believe that the things that Joseph Smith preached literally happened. And so when
Mhm.
they read a book like Visions of Glory, they believe this is literally
Confirmation
what the
bias,
end
right?
of the world is going to be like.
Especially
And
being raised by Janice and Barry. I mean, I'm if
yes,
it went the way it sounds
it
with a
was
more fuller picture,
it
it
was
really sounds like she didn't have a damn chance.
no, she didn't. It was very, very eye-opening for me to hear. I remember having conversations with Janice, but like I was a believer, and so she didn't need to
Mhm.
convince me of anything.
Yeah.
But knowing that everybody else she talked to, that every conversation every day was about the gathering. It was about the end times. It was about the
She
144,000.
she was obsessive, right?
She
I
was
mean,
obsessed
that's
with it.
that kind
She
of
was
behavior.
obsessed with Zionism. And by the way,
Mhm.
Mormons also believe that they're going to have a temple in Jerusalem.
Mm.
So there's that. Um,
There's also a Church of the Firstborn anyways in Mormonism. You
yep,
have to read the scripture.
it's already
It's
there.
there.
Yeah,
That's what the Church of the Firstborn is. As actually when a couple goes through a second anointing, for sure, they become members of the Church of the
right.
Firstborn. Lynn
Exactly.
Packer, I have screenshots from everywhere, okay, all around the LDS webs, okay, and ex LDS webs, and he has like PO boxes and stuff with different title, like I don't know. You can go to box. I don't even know what it's called, but different places where I guess he keeps information. Okay, I mean that's what he was. He was a journalist. He's a journalist, so
Yeah.
there was one and it said I saw it today and it said Church of the Firstborn, and I was like, "Oh my god, I really need to talk to him now for sure." Like, I just wanna know, is that Ervil can it said from, like, the '70s or '80s, I'm like, "Is that Ervil LeBaron?" Like, I think it is. How it started out, I really think there's something here.
Well, that
There's a pattern.
isn't that what Ervil LeBaron called his
It's
organization
a
too?
It's well, unless he rebranded and he said the Church of the Firstborn of the whatever of the Lamb or something like that. And I
Oh,
mean, they had a hit list. They had people they were knocking off. Even that's what scared me though, because okay, they're in prison. He was too. And then he died. People were still dying. So
yeah.
it's like, what about the rest of them? That's always been my thing.
Yeah, so I wanna say thank you to McSpunky for gifting Crush memberships, and
You
also,
did, Miss Bucky. I wish I had a
Michelle
song.
Michelle Clifford said, "Maybe we should read the Book of Mormons." Okay, I will do it, but only if instead of "and it came to pass," I can say, "and I shit you not." That's the only way I'll do
I
it. That's the only way I'll do
And I
it.
you're not. And then we have to drink every time she says
No,
it.
no. We would
And
be
we'll
so
come to
sick.
pass out is what it is gonna be. And then we're prophets because we know how that shit's gonna end.
That would be wild.
I done been there, done that,
Patreon
got
only.
that. There you
By the
go.
way, you're going to the sentencing, right? Do you know if you're
Yes,
speaking?
I might. I
Okay.
let me see if my mom texts back.
I just bought my ticket yesterday, and I'm staying at the same place as Jerry and Melanie.
I'm like, "My Aunt Mel," I had to think, look.
Yeah,
I'm like,
that
"My Aunt
Melanie,
Melanie."
your Aunt Melanie.
My Aunt Melanie, my Aunt Mel. Okay. Yeah, she's down to earth, boy.
Mm, she
Big
and I are going to
time.
be friends, I think.
Oh god. Yeah, so yeah, mom was like, she's gonna find out. I didn't ask, she asked me, and I was just like, "Oh my god, no." At first, I was like, "No," and then I was like, "Okay, before you answer, like, just say yes, and then you can just gracefully back out if you need to," you know? That's what I'm telling myself, and then
Yeah,
I actually started to think about it. I'm not getting my hopes up, I don't try to do that, but I'm like, "Well, what will I say? I have so many things to say," you know?
yeah. It was funny. I was talking with Jerry kind of early on, like right after Brandon's trial ended, and he was saying, I'm just going to speak from the heart. I'm going to say whatever comes to my mind. I was like, Jerry, I don't think you can do that. I think there's rules. And he was like, No,
Like,
I'm
"God
going to say
forbid."
whatever. He said, let the judge kick me out. Let me, I go down
Right.
and so then I talked to him, a few weeks later, and he was like, man, it turns out I can't just say whatever I want. And he was disappointed.
I mean, it really was heartbreaking to see how I don't even know what to say, how crazy it was in Idaho with what you could say, with what you could not
Right.
say, and
Right.
I understand, but it's
Right.
also like, god damn it, like, you really wanna just say what you have felt. I can imagine, you know?
Right. Right. But also I think there's a lot of power in, you know, sticking to the
Words.
court rules,
Mhm.
and doing it the way that the court needs to do it. And then
Yeah.
also, you can have your own victim impact statement that you say to whomever
Online,
you want.
on the
Um,
steps,
you can
wherever.
on the
Yeah.
steps, on your channel, or just in
The
private,
piano.
and probably or at the piano for
Yeah.
some weird reason. I don't know why you would mention that, but
My favorite.
then, I've found a lot of peace and solace in writing it and then putting it in the fire pit and watching the
There
smoke
you
go
go.
up and watching those ashes blow away, and it's gone.
Mhm, and you took the higher road because it I know, I get that, it's just I wanna break her shelf at the same time, but I know it's gonna be her own process, you know?
And that's why I've said so many people have said, "Hey, Megan, would you talk to her? Would you interview her?" I'm like, "I'm not there's nothing that I can say that is gonna crack that shell."
Mhm.
She's gonna be in that delusion because it protects her
She
psyche,
she has
and
to.
there's nothing I can say that's gonna change that, and I'm not gonna waste my energy trying.
Here, I'm just trying to prove to this Paul.
Yeah.
Confirms, remote viewing.
Yep.
Confirms, ha, ha, ha. There it is, right there. His book, not mine. Astral projection case
So,
studies.
is it an appendix
It's
to the
not about
book?
near-death experience, I'll tell you that right damn now. It's
But
what it's
is
not
it
about.
that's what I was that's what I'm
Mm-mm, this
curious
is
about.
page 9. Page freaking 9. Look, okay, hold on. There's the book cover, and
It's
then
the
I'm skipping
5-year
over
anniversary
a
cover, it's
sign
so
in.
special.
Yeah, I don't know if it's in the original, so we'll have to ask Lauren if it's in hers. Oh, yeah, there's page 2, okay. Ken Krogh, only person that they showed the, thing or whatever. I don't know books, so I don't know how they, I don't know what to call the things besides,
Like the testimonials or the
it's
endorsements,
at the
those are
very
just
beginning of the
endorsements.
book, it's page 6. Now we're going to page 7. Piracy is illegal and immoral. And then Visions of Glory, all rights reserved. Uh, and it says the opinions and views expressed herein belong solely to the author and do not necessarily represent the opinions or views of Cedar Fort Inc. Permission for the use of graphics, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, page 9, right there.
No, but I mean, okay, so they're listing this page 9.
Yep.
1,
It's
astral, like, okay, so when you go to the next page, does it talk about astral projection?
I didn't make it that far. Let's see.
I
There's
love you, Greta.
dispenser for a lifetime of holding to the rod. I'm like, ew.
There's a
And
whole
then,
song about that, by the way. I could sing it for you, but I'm not going to.
spare the rod, Megan. Spare the damn rod. Spare the rod, Tom. Holy crap. Okay, so I mean, these are
Also
John
by John
Pontius's book.
Pontius. Yeah.
Mhm. And
Keep going. Turn the page.
yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. I mean, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I was reading a dude's name.
My
Okay.
apostolic friend.
Mhm. My friend the bully.
Okay, so but this is what yes, Kit, I think Kit has done this book as well.
Mhm. Okay, this is just
Update.
this is to Journey to the Veil too, and this is how my phone puts it in reader, so I don't have to look at all
2022?
the ads. Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, girl. You just gotta swarm these websites every now and then. And actually, Triumph to Zion, that fireside I read last night, I
Mhm.
mean, you might as well have put for invitation only, Lori Daybell, okay? Because she's like, "I've got my ticket to ride." You know, 2 tickets to paradise, her and Chad, and she don't care.
Thank you, McSpunky,
Um,
for gifting memberships again, even if it
thank
was
you.
just a fat finger.
He's like the Mac Oprah.
You get a
He's like,
membership, and you
"You
get a
get a
membership.
membership." Thank you. I can't see, but okay, so yeah, I just kinda went around,
All right,
because
but you're not in the book anymore.
no, I didn't take
Okay.
all the screen I mean, because there's a lot of pages,
Oh,
and my
okay.
phone's full, so,
Okay,
I mean,
okay,
I
I
just
get
kinda
you.
was perusing. Once I saw that, I was like, "Oh, hell no," so I'm trying to just kinda flip through, so
Okay,
okay,
so
see?
I just got the audiobook when I
Oh,
wanted
here.
to you know what? Let me
Yeah, I
hold
mean, I have
please.
it too, but I was like, "Okay, it's free. Let me download it." And so that's
I'll
why I did it.
I'll be right back.
Okay, because I had 2 copies. Look, I'm gonna go ahead and play some of Shane, uh, what's his name? Shane oh my gosh. Where is it at? Unblog my soul. Here it is. Shane Holmes. Is this President Stake? Stake President Shane Holmes. I'm so sorry. Um, hold on. These tabs are weird. Okay, let's try this. Do I have it on there? Okay, I was like in a lock in a box. Okay, so this is Shane Holmes.
It is wonderful to be here
I'm gonna let y'all hear his cadence, and then I'm gonna speed it up.
to share in the great spirit of this event.
2012.
I am grateful for the Unblog and what it has done in my spiritual life. I am grateful for those who have posted comments on the Unblog. They truly are uplifting and beneficial in my life.
Thank you.
I'm indebted for John in so many ways for being my spiritual mentor and my spiritual partner as we studied for several years together each week.
All right, guys,
We
speed it
studied
up.
for a couple hours in the morning. I'm grateful for Spencer and his wonderful
Tom,
book that he wrote. I was able to read a draft of it, and it changed my life.
it's a little fast.
I encourage all of you to purchase that book and let it change yours. I'm thankful that Kenneth Cope is here. His music has changed my life, has given me the spirit when I didn't feel like I
Okay,
deserved it.
hold on.
I know
Kenneth
that
Cope is
dude.
listed. He's on the FOIA docs in those weird religious texts.
I know
I
that
think
dude.
he's listed as one of her children. I'm gonna go look that up while we listen to this.
I actually have a letter that was written to me by Kenneth Cope where
Yeah, no.
he claims that I have a voice of an angel. I don't know if that's true or not.
You do, Megan.
That's
So
what you
own
said.
that shit, and then just be like, "Thank you, drive through, please." Oh my god, these people are crazy. I also found that other person that Lori and Chad were debating whether he was light or dark, or good or bad. Like they said she said Mike Stroud had done a good infiltration job or something, which is interesting. And so this something Pacheco or something. I don't know. It's some weird name I don't know how to say. Nathan
There are so
Pacheco.
many
I
names. I've
found
lost.
another fireside with him talking. I'm telling you. And I'm looking for the okay, hold on. Let me press play and let this play. I'm so sorry if this triggers you. I don't want it to. I sped it up. Come on, dude.
Parley P. Pratt said in a letter to John
Long
Taylor,
pause.
and I quote,
Okay.
"For my part, I never can rest
Parley Pratt.
until my eyes have seen my Redeemer,
Oh, Lord.
until I have gazed like Nephi upon the glories of the celestial world, until I can come into full communion and familiar conversation with the angels of glory and the spirits of just men made perfect through the blood of Christ. And I testify to all, both small and great, both male and female, if they stop short of the full enjoyment of these things, they stop short of the blessings freely offered to every creature in the gospel."
Here we go.
I want to testify to you that it's possible for any member of the church
He's
to
not so
experience
out
these
there.
things. I've been asked to share my journey with you. I know that each of our journeys are unique to us, but there is common threads in each of our experiences that can create a beautiful and heavenly tapestry. I testify that the Savior influences all threads in that tapestry. Remember, each journey is unique to the individual, even among spouses. The journey is not easy. Elder Maxwell said, and I quote, "If we are serious about our discipleship, Jesus will eventually request each of us to do those very things which are most difficult for us to do."
Hold on. I found it. Hold on. Right here. Kenneth, and then it's redacted. And the other one could be the other Kenneth. Nope. Okay, so because they do this twice these are the Chandler FOIA docs, and 7 children, 4 sons, 3 daughters, James and Elena. Lily Connections document. Mel Kenneth Cope, named Simon, 5.1 light. He is up there. He's exalted. Promise you. So check. And plus he was also at another conference too, by the way. And I wonder who this Connor is. It makes me wonder if it's like your name backwards, Connor, and then maybe Janice or something. I don't know. Anyways.
I've never seen.
Really? Girl, you got to go look at these are crazy. These, and they are so redacted. I'm like, please take them off.
Okay, hold up. Lori's Guardian Angels. Emmeline B. Wells.
I think that's like a little.
That's a
she was
famous
a 14-year-old girl at the time.
Mormon. It's and then Laura Lee, Lolly,
Novelle Summer. That's backwards, probably. Or
Novelle's my grandmother. Janice's mom.
So Novelle, her last name?
Well, Novelle Connor. Novelle Holder was her maiden name.
So it could be.
And then she married a Connor.
Oh, you gotta go look at these.
Joyce is Novelle's sister. Gail is Novelle's sister. And Madge is Novelle's mother. Nanny. We called her Nanny.
You've been holding the damn puzzle pieces all this damn time. We've been trying to figure out.
I've never seen this document before.
Girl, it is on page 324, and then the other one is.
Sorry, I missed that one.
Yeah, no.
I swear to you, I've started and stopped, and those documents are in so many different places. I can't even tell you. I'm sure that I've missed a lot because there's no way I've gone through all 1,100 pages in sequence, and I've never seen this before.
Okay, hold on. Okay, this just tripped me out because I was like, wait, the other one said children, and then this one, okay, it doesn't look exactly like the other one, so like I'm going back to the other one. Okay, so this is the Lily Connect. I remember hearing about the Lily Connections document, right? That was like one of the earliest
Well,
Let's see.
is Lily another Lori name?
Lily, yes. Alec
Yeah.
called her that for sure. When he was going by Raphael, she was going by Lily. So there you go. Because Dilemma said that Chad had changed his phone number, or yeah, Raphael or whatever. She told that to Alex. Okay, so I can't believe you just like I gotta sit here and think about this shit. Like you said earlier, when somebody tells you something, you know what they said was the truth. And I'm just like, well, hold on. I gotta recalculate all this stuff in my head.
Recalculating.
Yes. Like that's wild. So these are her great aunts and
Yeah.
her
So
grandmother?
Emmeline B. Wells is I think one of Joseph Smith's wives. I think.
Okay. To be replaced by Stacy, spelled right, soon.
I don't know what that means. I mean, and then Laura Lee is Lolly. We all know about that, right? And then
Mm-hmm.
Novelle Holder would have been her maiden name. That
Okay.
was Janice's mom, Lori's grandma, my grandma, who died when I was a baby.
Wow.
And then Joyce is Novelle's sister, who has died. I don't know who Valerie with an I is. I've
There's a
never
Valerie that they oh my God, what's her last name? She goes to preparing of people stuff or those
Okay.
conferences. I mean, if that's her. I mean, I don't know. But
Okay.
that's the only
And
one I
then
really was kind of knowing.
yeah, and then Gail is Novelle's sister.
Wow.
And then Nanny Madge Mildred Howell, she's Novelle's mom. That's my great grandma.
So, okay, it only goes to 9. So, because there's 9, right? So, who would be number 8 and who would be number 9?
Well, I mean, they're all females. So
Mhm.
Lori's guardian angels, I mean, and they're all deceased. All of those women are
And they can be
deceased.
replaced too, obviously, right here.
Well,
Stacy's gonna be replaced by
but like
Emmeline B.
Emmeline B. Wells, like, doesn't have, and she's not related to our family. I've done all of that
Hmm.
family history stuff. She's not related to us, so I don't know why
Yeah.
that, except that she was a prominent, figure in
Hmm.
LDS history, and Lori would always want to co-opt people who were important,
Well,
like,
no, Chad told her, or at least the documents do, because I remember researching Mary French, and she
oh
was a
yeah,
passenger on the Mayflower, and they all have this Mayflower compact, okay?
but
It's a ritual, I'm telling you it is.
There's a Mary French in
I
our
know, it
family
was
history.
Joseph Smith. Oh, shit. Joseph Smith's grandmother is who the Mary French I looked up.
Okay, well, there's a Mary French in our family history too.
Could be. I
Like,
mean,
one
that
of
that
these
would make more
days,
sense.
I
Oh
need
my
to
god.
just I need to pull up my family tree and just let you look at all the names because you're probably gonna find stuff that's where that
You
came from.
yeah, Megan, you just figured out 7 of them, okay? Just in, like, 7 seconds. I mean, I'm flabbergasted right now, like, okay, I mean, hold on, I gotta pick your brain some more. But wait.
Sure, go for it. I mean,
So, here's okay, we
ask me
have
anything.
Kenneth Cope,
Mhm.
who I mean, is that any relation to Steve Cope and Melanie Cope?
No,
Just Stacy Cope? Okay,
he's a famous Mormon musician. He wrote a whole bunch
I
of
knew
Mormon
that.
songs, and that's why they would wanna be connected to him somehow. He
You
went to all of those conferences because he was always, like, the opening and closing song person or whatever.
he is, and so whenever that, creepy talk I was telling you about that, John Pontius and Thom Harrison,
Yeah, the
and he's
fireside.
like, "I see you too." He thanks Kenneth. He's like, "That
Yeah.
was just delicious."
Yeah,
You know?
because
Same with
he
Alex
played
Boyer. Alex Boyer is also, you know,
yeah,
being
well, because he was a member of the Mormon Tabernacle Choir.
yeah,
Or
have
I'm
you heard of
sorry, the choir at Temple Square.
my bad. Yeah,
Because you
he's
can't
one
say
of them.
Mormon, it's a victory for Satan.
Well, damn. So you just have to say the Church of Jesus Christ?
No, you have to say so they're not the Mormon Tabernacle Choir anymore, they're the choir
I'm
at
talking
Temple
about the
Square.
church change.
Oh, yeah, 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 Church of Jesus
Because
Christ.
I
Don't
can't deal
say
with it.
Latter-day Saints is now apparently a victory for Satan, so
Oh, goodness. So is naming your church with Jesus in it, and then I'm just saying, and
Well,
just not representing corporate wise for sure, not
yeah,
representing it to its name. It's not
yeah.
living up to it. You need to drop the Church of Jesus Christ and just call it Latter-day Saints. That's my suggestion, but nobody's asking me. So James and Elena, they have 7 children, 4 sons, 3 daughters. Kenneth Cope, Melanie Boudreau,
Just so stupid.
Jada, I don't know who Jada is. Jace,
Pinkett Smith. Jada Pinkett Smith.
yeah, there
I'm
you
just
go.
kidding. I mean,
Jace, Jenny, which is one of the Dream Girls. I believe this is Audrey's sister. I am speculating. I believe. And then Connor is a Mel.
my son's name is
Jay,
Connor.
right. So when you started saying it, I was like, no. I was thinking, okay, well, if Connor's backwards up here, then that's how my mind was working. Then I was like, maybe Novell, because I knew that was Summer's middle name, Summer Novell. So I
Oh,
was like,
yeah, that's right. I
Novell
forgot that.
Summer. And
Okay,
then I was like, go ahead.
here's something that's interesting. All
Okay.
of the Cox children have so Janice and Barry and all the Cox children have middle names that start with L until they get to Lori. So it's Janice Lee, it's Barry Lynn,
And
Stacy
Lynn.
Lynn, Alex Lamar, Adam Lane, Laura Lee, and then Lori Noreen.
Ellen.
Lori
And
Noreen.
then
And then
Hudson.
Summer Novell. Yeah.
Yeah. My mind doesn't pattern out like that.
But
But
it's
somebody does.
interesting. It's another little tidbit to me
That's
that
huge.
the death of Laura Lee broke Janice so much that it broke all of those patterns. It broke all of those ideas about having this cohesive family. She really did believe Mixed Monkey that
Right.
that Lori was Lolly's spirit, and it changed everything. I really believe, like, what now I view Lori as an unloved, like, she didn't have an
Neglected.
identity. She didn't have
Mm-mm.
her own face. She didn't have her own name. She was just
We're gonna
Lolly.
Did they call her Lolly?
No, but they named her Lori. The
But you said,
other
like, they infantilicized I can't say it.
infantilized.
Infantilized. And I do that when I'm picking. I'm like, "Hers is mad." I'm talking about Lori. "Hers is pissed off. She rolls up in a wheelchair." I'm just making fun of her, but, yeah, I don't like that either, the baby talk stuff to my kids, but,
Yeah.
So, okay, but, that blew my mind again because that whole Lolly Time Forever. It's something because we've heard of Lolly Time at whatever,
Lollytime at
iCloud.com.
iCloud.com. And
But then
then
when Trina K said Lolly Time Forever at gmail.com, it just, I don't know, but my head spun. Okay. And I was like, what if? Because I had already heard rumors that, or whatever, I heard stories that Kylie was being told that she was Stacy reincarnated. So I was like, what? And I mean, if Chad is holding this is Chad, though. This is reaching outside of the family of origin. So if Chad is saying to Zalema, don't worry, JJ's not going to live a long life. He's going to come back he didn't say reincarnated. He just said he's going to come back as Colby's child. So I'm like, okay, that's kind of two, if so, just loosely in my mind. And then the lolly forever at Gmail, that just, it spun me. And I was like, what if? I mean, I could see that. That kind of track.
Okay,
I
yeah,
don't know.
and kind of what I see is like lolly time. Well, it's like it's time for me to fulfill my special mission.
Alter ego.
Yeah.
It's like an alter ego. Then I'm telling you, because I researched into David Hamblin and how he allegedly gets off on creating these parts. He calls it his parts theory, where when you traumatize a child via, abuse or trauma. It splits the mind. It creates dissociative identity disorder, which used to be multiple personality disorder, but it's now DID. But he
Right.
creates that to create, and so whenever he wants to, allegedly, whenever he wants to call up, like, let's say, I'm just going to do hypothetical now, so I don't have to do all the allegedly. So let's just say there's this man, okay, and he wants to he's wanting to prostitute his daughters or whatever. And in order to call up different personalities to get them to be sexual, to be deviants, to be sexy, to be whatever it is that he programs them to be, because he is this high, let me not go there because it's too identifying. But anyway, so what he did was, allegedly, hypothetically, was just say, like, and I want to say this because Lori actually told me this name before, and so it bothers me. When they were going to adopt, whenever Lori told me that her and Charles were going to, or trying to adopt JJ's half sister, okay, she said that she wanted to name her Tabitha, and I was like, oh, whatever. I know one girl named Tabitha. And well, anyways, that's the name that is used allegedly by Hamblin, and allegedly created some alters in his daughter in order to trigger that alter to come forward, to perform, to do whatever. And so that freaks me out because I was also editing a video I had done on Hamblin. I mean, it was just a little voiceover, but then it made me go directly to where you were reading the documents from Steve. Okay.
Yeah.
About
From the
Melanie.
divorce. Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, here it is. And so this is something that these LDS CS members, these LDS Church of Satan, allegedly, or the group, go by. This is what they do. It's like, so it makes me question, was Ruby Frankie and Kevin Frankie really training their kids? Were they paying a professional, aka Jody, to train their children to abuse other children? Because that's what's happening in these victim statements from Hamblin's daughters. That it's just training. He was a Mormon psychologist who was being recommended buku clients. And so was Jody, and so were a lot of other therapists. It seems, anyways, it just makes me question a whole lot of things. But right here, just read. I'm just going to play this real quick. Quote, it's just me reading. Parts. Oh, sorry.
Wow. Well, about...
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to say, about Dr. Richard Schwartz's therapy methodology called internal family systems, where he talks about parts. Mm-mm. He has a book called No Bad Parts, and it's about the idea that there is a highest self that guides, and then there are all of these different parts. Like I say often that I have like a warrior princess part of me that wants to go burn shit down when it gets angry. I have like the mother part of me. I have the daughter part of me. I have the intellectual part of me. I have the mathematician. I have, like all these different parts. And so that's probably why they would refer to it that way, is because there is an actual legitimate psychological model that deals with parts.
He did dissertations and stuff like that at the University of Arizona. His dad, Robert Hamblin, who's also accused by the Hamblin daughters, they accused their grandparents, June and Robert Hamblin, of generational stuff. And he worked as a, I got to think of the name. Oh my God. Okay. Just hear me out. I know I'm going to be very botchy, but it's me. Okay. Sorry. A sociologist or something, maybe. He did like experiments with human behavior. Sorry. Behavior modification
Mhm.
Okay. He got paid by our government to have this program. I want to say it was on the East Coast. I'll just say East Coast because I don't remember if it was Washington. I don't know. Anyway, so it was over there, and him and June, they would attract. Of course, they would go out and seek poverty-stricken families. Because we're just lab rats, and he would do this reward. What do you call it? Repetition and reward, just like David Levitt mentioned in his documentary. How do you teach a girl to give you oral? Repetition and reward. And I'm like, oh my God, it's they're so vocal about it and they don't even know. Maybe I don't know, but it's like they're so telling. I'll just say that they tell on themselves.
Yep.
But so I mean, again, you're getting paid by the government, to experiment on poor kids, poor families, and reward them and their family with like a free month of rent if they do such and such. I'm not saying it was nefarious. I'm just saying they were experimenting on behavior modification way back in the day. He
Right.
also, Robert, writes a paper and he worked for Tavistock. Okay. Put that one in there. And Esalen, the Esalen Institute, which is where David Levitt and Shalom frequent, allegedly. That's just Tim Ballard and Catherine too. So there's that.
Yeah.
But let me just play this little part. And no pun intended.
Wow. The victim statements outline Hamblin's attempts to develop methods to achieve dissociative identities in his own children and to extend those methods to other CS families, think Jody Hildebrand here, in order to make their children more compliant with sexual and physical abuse. This was accomplished by developing quote unquote parts. It's Hamblin's parts theory within the Hamblin children, and the parts consisted of various personalities that would serve the adults within the CS. Each part or personality had a name, and when the children were called by that name, they knew that they were expected to fulfill the behavior associated with that name.
And I would like to involve Melanie in such activities as swimming and school, to which Stacy is opposed due to her fears of germs, food, etc. 7. In late March, Stacy, though herself unable to care for Melanie with her mother, absconded with Melanie to California without my knowledge or agreement. I was powerless to stop this as I was returning from a business trip from Atlanta. When I left, Janet Wilcox had been acting as nanny, but Stacy asked her mother, Janice Cox, to come in Janet's stead. I was told that Stacy's mother would leave for California the day I came home. Instead, Stacy and her mother left with Melanie 4 hours before my scheduled return. I believe that Stacy may attempt to take Melanie again, and I'm unwilling to allow Melanie to be raised under the conditions which Stacy might provide. 8. Stacy's family are inappropriate caretakers for Melanie. Not only does Melanie not want to be there, but I fear the effect of prolonged exposure to them on Melanie. When I finally brought Melanie and Stacy back from California, Melanie had begun displaying rather odd behaviors. She insists she is a boy, and upon meeting new people will insist, call me AJ, Alex, or Bobby, and I am 3 years old. When she does that, she begins talking in a different pitch, as if she were 3 years old. Something weird has happened to Melanie. I want to pause here to point out that these behaviors that Melanie was exhibiting are classic behaviors of child abuse, specifically SA. And as an SA survivor myself, I can identify with the behavior of wanting to make yourself unattractive to the opposite sex and wanting to regress backwards in age as to be too young to be of interest to an abuser. I can also identify with wanting to dress in clothes that would make you seem unattractive or seem a different gender. And I'm not making any specific allegations here, but I do want to point out that Melanie's behavior in this situation is not just odd, it's alarming.
This has me thinking now about Chad Daybell.
Okay. I was going into Chad, Raphael, and Lily, but it makes you wonder or think a little. It makes me question Lori when she does her baby voice. It makes me wonder.
Yep.
I'm just saying.
That's it's another marker of a particular type of abuse at a particular age that you regress back to that age and that you want to make yourself too young to
Minimize,
be
right?
attractive. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's something's going on here. I don't know. Is it a church-wide conspiracy? No, but it's some really nefarious people doing some really nefarious things, trying to hide some things. I do believe that's what
Yeah.
it looks like.
So
But
I
anyways,
am getting to the end of my rope, but anytime that we talk about this book, I always want to talk about the smoking gun.
there you go.
And I have it pulled up here on
Oh,
my
good.
e-reader because I know
You go, girl.
the exact page. It's page 218. The chapter is called Dealing with Warfare. And this is Spencer, who we all know as Thom Harrison at this point, having what he calls a near-death experience or a vision. I basically think it is a drug-fueled delusion, to be
I have a
honest,
theory
because
for that, but I'm not sharing it here.
well, I mean, the way he describes it is like he had all these surgeries where he almost died. He was in a lot of pain. He was on a lot of medication.
Yeah.
So, and also this third vision is like the most detailed of all of the visions, quote unquote. It's not like it was a dream,
There you go.
because this is like way too long and way too detailed for it to be a dream. So,
Is it that, or are they doing like what it states on page 9 of Visions of Glory, where it says that they're doing astral, what is it, travel studies, vision studies? What's going on?
every time I think of that, though, I think like they're just daydreaming. Like that's all they're doing. They're just
Are they? I
daydreaming.
mean, this is something that I had to go look at for myself, and it has to do with vibrations, all the weird hooey whatever
Woo-woo.
stuff. That was the woo-woo stuff that has been my entire life disregarded, you don't believe in that kind of stuff. You just
Right.
don't. That's really weird stuff. But to find out that our governments, they just declassify, or not just now, but they declassify these documents, not all of them, but these about the ability to remote view, and that you can they do hit targets. They just, are they, who knows what, and I mean, on Blaze Media, that's how I got into looking into this stuff, because of what Glenn Beck wrote on Blaze Media about Janet Russin, about remote viewing. And then it made me start looking at Thom Harrison's book a little. I was just like, I wonder, why
Yeah.
are they meeting? What's portaling? Portaling is that weird word we make fun of all the time. However, it was something that Melanie was obsessed with. Lori was obsessed with. Lori said Charles was blocking her quote unquote gifts. Is it portaling? Yeah. Anyways.
Anyway.
Okay.
Anyway, it's a bunch of weird stuff. And there's,
Mhm.
Anyway, so in this part of the book, Spencer, like there's already been the earthquake. Spencer has this
Mhm.
special mission where he's gathering the 144,000. Does that sound familiar? Tragically, his wife died in the earthquake, so he's a
Here we
single
go.
man. And then sometimes he had to pretend to be married to other women in the group in order to fulfill their mission. Does that sound like Tim
Oh,
Ballard to y'all?
that sounds like what y'all revealed on Mormon Stories podcast.
Yeah.
There was a woman that could come forward
It was the
or something
couple's
about that.
ruse for,
Basically.
yeah.
Yeah. The very
So
before.
Spencer's going around gathering righteous people, but there were these other groups that would come up against them and try to fight with them
Of course.
and have war with them. And so this is what he said. The only time I actually experienced full warfare was when I went through the portal on assignment. We often found
Stay at
ourselves
home. Sorry.
under attack or being threatened by unredeemed people.
Them
We had
Gentiles.
learned over the years how to deal with warfare. At first, the power of God was not in full display, and we wrought miracles to stay out of sight and out of conflict. As time progressed, We were allowed to deal with people as the Spirit directed.
Who's the spirit they talk about? It's not a good one.
Often in miracles that all could see. Just by a thought, I could move people far away from me. They found themselves in a new place, completely at a loss to explain how. We could become invisible if need be. It wasn't a form of invisibility where light passed through our bodies. It was that those who sought us simply could not comprehend that we were there. A digital photo probably would have captured our presence, but their minds were blinded to our presence. Many times, we walked right past the people who were hunting us. They could even bump into one of us, and they did not comprehend it. Sometimes soldiers walked past me as if I were a lamppost, stepping around me but not seeing that it was me. I was completely protected, as were the people who were with me. At times, our enemies would approach our group. I would speak to them, but they did not seem to see me because they didn't reply or even look at me. They sometimes saw the group I was leading, but they never saw me. I would say to them something like, "There is no one here," or anything.
So original, huh?
These are not the droids you're looking for. Or anything the Lord led me to say, and they would leave. We were never in any danger, but those with me trembled for fear because they were still on their journey to Zion, which involved long experience in learning to completely and absolutely trust the Lord. I could also create an illusion if need be. If we were standing before the soldiers, I could cause them to see us suddenly turn and try to run away in a different direction. They would fire and be satisfied that we'd been eliminated. After such an illusion, they could no longer see us and we would leave. They couldn't even hear our voices or noise of our departure, no matter where it was. These things were continually amazing to me, and I always glorified God in my heart, and I plainly told the people what had happened so that they could enhance their faith in Christ's protection and love.
So they could save everybody, huh?
I want to open a food truck called Satan's Taco.
Yeah, girl, I already got signage and stuff.
And
Yeah,
on the menu, unforgettable
we'll
enchiladas.
girdle up our loins. Just telling you.
Okay, so this is the part right here. This is the part.
Okay. I have something to add to that. Just, in typical fashion. Just saying.
Totally.
After that.
But this is the part. Like, you guys don't need to read Visions of Glory because we've already read it. You don't need to. This is the part when I read this, I was like, this is why Chad and Lori justified doing what they were doing. Here we go. There was a law we followed. It was not a rule, but a law. When an individual or group threatened us, we knew their hearts. If there was any hope, even the slightest hope, that they could be saved, even in the most telestial sense, which for those of you never Mormons, it's the lowest level of Mormon heaven.
Yeah, where we are.
If they could be saved, even in the most telestial sense, we did not harm them. When we were confronted by people who were fully ripe in iniquity, meaning they were evil, basically. Iniquity is sin. Okay, fully ripe in iniquity and who would never repent, then we were free to deliver them from mortality, which means to kill them. Their death...
Or deliver.
But this is the really harmful part. Their death would then be a blessing to them because they could no longer add additional iniquity to their divine ledger. So not only could they tell who was good and bad, they could tell how good and how bad. And if they were so bad that they were never going to turn good again, then they were allowed to just kill them. And not only that, they were doing them a favor.
Blood atonement.
Blood atonement.
It's
the Lafferty brothers all over again.
It's like they canceled each other out or something.
And this is this part too is important. In the beginning of our work of gathering, we most often hid behind God's power. Toward the end, we were most often granted permission to display God's power. Instead of hiding from them, we started them on their immortal journey. When we did this, it was not a bloodbath and rarely a consumption by fire. They just fell to the ground and slipped into the eternities.
Yeah, well.
When this happened, We felt happy for them to be freed from the torment of their own delusions. With God, they would eventually see clearly once again and could choose to cease heaping condemnation upon their souls.
That is so jacked up, Megan. Like, just with you reading it, thinking about what that meant for the victims, one by one. Oh my God, that is so... I don't have words for that. That should be read at the damn sentencing. No, because then she'll be like reciting it or something. But
it's just, it is. This is why I keep saying this book is so harmful, and people are like, "Oh, it's not a big deal." And there are so many Mormons who actually like have YouTube channels where they read and discuss this book and how great it is,
Mm-hmm.
And they they go to this part of the book and they're like, well, I mean, if they're really not righteous, then maybe
I swear,
really
before you said that, before you even came up with that one, I was like, it's like spitting on Tylee, JJ, Charles, Tammy, and Joe. I said it.
100%. And you know what makes me so angry about this part? I'm gonna have to open it up one more time because
you just clenched your damn jaw, girl. You go, girl.
The first time I read this, it just made me so angry, and I meant to point this out again. When we did this, it was not a bloodbath, and rarely consumption by fire. They just fell to the ground and slipped into the eternities. But that's not what happened to JJ. That's not what happened to Tylee. That's not what happened to Charles. That is not what happened to Tammy.
And unfortunately, that's not what's happening with Lori. She's not just going to slip off into a crack somewhere. But I'm sorry, and I'm sorry. We shouldn't say funny stuff with horrible stuff because, I mean, Nene, I'm sorry. I would put Boudreaux butt paste on Lori Satan tacos. So there you go. If she does have to slide into a crack, there's some Boudreaux's butt paste. All right, come on, laugh, damn it. Come on, okay. You can't.
As a little bit of lube or what? I don't understand. Like she can't.
We'll have to borrow. Oh man, I was gonna go real dark and go Diddy and just get some Astroglide, but
this was just sent to me on Thursday from an anonymous Facebook. Sorry, it's a private Facebook group, and I can't show it because it's got people's names on it.
Okay.
But this is what somebody posted in this private Facebook group that is a chat about the case. God works in mysterious ways. The righteous can feel the Spirit and know what is true, and sometimes God commands death. It's in the Bible. Who can deny the scriptures and say God wouldn't do the same again?
It ain't God, first off. Whoever that is, oh my God.
And of course, people came out and called her out for making that comment and saying, like, you're so wrong. You shouldn't be. But the fact that we still have to be calling these people out at this point, in this case, this is not just a random chat where they're talking about God and scripture and redemption and all of that stuff. This is specifically about this case where people died because of these beliefs, and there's somebody defending it still. This is what drives me insane. There are still people out there who believe what Lori and Chad believed.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I'm starting to see a lot of people saying, no, they don't really have followers. And I really am. I've come to the point where I think I've shared with you where I don't know if it's so much followers. And I've said, I've been kind of going this way, but it's because I'm like, you know what, the book, whatever, Chad's book, whatever, do what you will with it. But it's these people behind the pen, behind the typewriter, behind the idea. Thom Harrison, in my opinion, is a dangerous man who y'all, Mormon Stories podcast, ran him into quote unquote hiding. Why? Why you gotta hide? Okay. Like, why aren't you like this therapist who's like, oh, smart and stuff and Christian, and you got God, with your heart and all that stuff. And okay, but no, you're sitting here deciding people's fate according to your words,
Yeah.
aka quote unquote fake. I don't know. I need to see flatline. Okay, I need to see where your heart flatlined. Okay, because other than that, you didn't qualify for a near-death experience. How about a whole death experience? Everybody try any of these people ever tried a whole death experience? Okay, Chad's up for one, allegedly. Anyways, I'm just, I don't know. It just pisses me off because these people are so damn ignorant and they're like 50 freaking feet away. They're going back. They're regressing. How about that? They're multiple moral probations. Well, they're going backwards. And so I don't know if they realize that. It's very aggravating because they're like spiritually dumb. I don't know. And they think that they can discern. But that's the really creepy part. I mean, that's dangerous right there, just that part.
Yeah.
Okay. I told you I had one that adds to that. And it's this dipshit right here. So I'm not political, but here we go.
The Religious Freedom
Did
Restoration
it
Act.
play? Did it show?
But in Kamala's America, under Kamala's bill, that would be off the table. And I can point to thousands of other hypothetical examples and not so hypothetical examples of where this would come into play. So if you or someone you know is being tricked into thinking that you've got to vote for Kamala Harris because she's the nicer person, she's the more righteous person, I'm sorry. That assumes facts, not an evidence. If you assume that you can vote for Kamala Harris and not really seriously threaten religious liberty, others on this call have pointed out, many of our ancestors came here to Utah and came to other states in the Intermountain West seeking religious freedom because we're heretics. We were heretics then, we're heretics now. It's just that the reason why we're persecuted today has a little bit different things. Back then, we were persecuted more for our more nuanced views on things like the Godhead, the Trinity, the Book of Mormon, modern prophets, things like that. Today, we are persecuted much more for teachings that the church holds, including those on abortion, which, despite what Kamala's LDS friends like to say, her stance on abortion can in no way, shape, or form be reconciled with the church's anti-abortion stance. Today, we're persecuted much more for the fact that many of our church's teachings and our core doctrines are just incompatible with the woke, radical, progressive agenda. And so that's the basis of our persecution today. If you elect Kamala Harris as our next president, you are sowing the seeds for the destruction of the Religious Freedom Restoration Act, and with it, religious freedom itself. We don't want to be the weak link between our ancestors and our descendants. We don't want to be the weak link who enables, who facilitates enemies of religious freedom, those who would persecute us, those who would punish us for what we believe. Not now, not ever. I close by telling you that it's my personal view, rooted in the scriptures and rooted in my own faith, that America is indeed a special land. It was a land set aside for a free, prosperous people, a group of people who would be free from tyranny as long as they were not fully ripe in their iniquity. There are indeed so many
Anyways, I called that.
free, prosperous people, a group of people who would be free from tyranny as long as they were not fully ripe in their iniquity.
There it is, fully ripe. Did you catch that phrase? Fully ripe in iniquity.
Yeah.
It's the same phrase that we just read in Visions of Glory.
Free, prosperous people, a group of people who would be free from tyranny as long as they were not fully ripe in their iniquity.
So Thom Harrison is throwing dog whistles just like the Constitution's hanging by a thread, like Glenn Beck. Like, I mean, I don't even want to say it because I'm not trying to start a war.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Somebody's asking if Kamala Harris is LDS. I don't think she is. But here's the thing. Are you being persecuted, Mike Lee? Are you being persecuted? Or are people just critical of what you believe? Because it's not the same thing. And I'll tell you, the other night on Web Sleuths, I said some critical things of Nate Eaton. I also said some supportive things of Nate Eaton. But guess what? people came in my comments and said, I'm canceling you because you were negative about Nate.
And
I
now,
was critical of him. I wasn't persecuting him. I
right,
wasn't trying to tear him down or malign his character, is what some
or
people
shut him
said.
up.
I wasn't trying to smear him, as some people said. I was critical of 2 instances in his reporting where I believed that he was not respectful to the victims. I felt he was a little too giddy and gleeful about what he was reporting on. That's my opinion as a
Mhm.
family
As a
member.
family member, god damn. That's what I'm
Um,
saying. People are like, no, you support the quote unquote victims or whatever that you want to choose, that are victims. I saw somebody in your comments one night when I went on there with you and Joe for the first time, and they were whomever it was a very ignorant comment, and they were like, I'm gonna go support the real victims,
oh
Colby,
yeah,
and I mean,
Colby's
I'm just
Colby's the
like,
real victim.
what are you,
Yeah.
please
The fact
bye.
is that just prior to that criticism of Nate, I also said I greatly appreciated his reporting and I greatly appreciated how dedicated he has been to this case. But people, when somebody says something negative about somebody they like or about them or about their
Mhm.
beliefs, there's a
Fine.
part of their brain that shuts down and they say, oh, you hate Nate. Got it.
Yep.
Well, now I hate you too.
It's black and white. If you're not for me, you're against me. If you're not for Nate, you're against Nate, or whomever, blank.
Yeah.
And I've seen this too. It's like, I mean, you can call it idol worship. You can call it fangirl or whatever. People get wild. They will shank you straight up.
Yeah.
And it's very wild to see, for sure. It's disheartening too, because it's like, I love people. I like people. I love people. I appreciate their contributions. Um, and I'll say that, and I'll also bring up some things that I found. And I like to find where, like, y'all, I've been told so many times in this to follow the money. I did, and
Yep.
people get pissed off about it. And I'm
Yeah.
just like, I mean, I want to know how far exploitation goes. Wouldn't you want? I mean, if you like, I'm talking to people. Like, there are people who've had this kind of act happen upon. I didn't want to say tragedy, so I was trying to do anything but say
Yeah.
tragedy. But who've had a family member who's murdered, and then it's like, I don't know, because of their murders, and because of what Lori and Chad did and who they belong to or where they come from, I want to know what makes a murderer. What profiling somebody, why? How can we stop this? I want to know the whys, because I don't get that from court. I don't. I get, their spin on it. I get a lot of the people who testify, as long as they can exalt themselves and remove themselves from any culpability, and it's gross. So it's like, I rely on the facts, evidence, things like that, and then but I don't have to convict anybody here. Okay, that's the
Yeah.
court's job. So I mean, I consider all the things, you know. And because it's, I don't know. I just feel like so anyways, it just is alarming. It's very aggravating. And this is where I can side with people like, I forget their names, the Gonsalves family, because I feel like there has to be some kind of relationship between victims, family member of the victims, and the prosecution. You can't, if you feel like you've been kind of iced out. I mean, I don't know how they feel. I'm just assuming, because I've felt times of this, where I'm just like, oh no.
Yeah.
Sometimes I felt like my parents were being used or lied to. That pisses me off worse, because I'm just like, all this stuff happened. And, I mean, it's a very emotional thing. So me and Megan, I would say, I don't want to speak for you, but I don't have that option to just turn it off and just
Yeah.
go, subscribe to people and just be like, oh, I'm going to support you. I'm not going to support you. Like, why are you here? Like, be here for the victims, the ones who are not here. Be a voice for them. Don't try to shut them up. I mean,
Yeah.
hear everybody out. I listen to everybody. I listen to
Yeah.
people I cannot stand.
Right. I do too. And I think it's important for us to not, and you and I have talked about this before, to not get into an echo chamber and only listen to people we agree with. And criticism is necessary. I accept criticism. I invite criticism because it's the only way I'm going to improve. And so, you know, I,
He's
anyway,
handled it well. I mean, because it's not just from me and it's not just from you.
right. I mean,
He got a lot of backlash.
he got a lot of criticism, and I actually liked it. He went on his X feed the next
Mhm.
day and he posted an angry email from a
Oh,
viewer
I
who
didn't
was
see
like,
that. I mean,
yeah,
that's healthy,
it is.
I
And it was
think.
like, somebody really, let him have it, was really rude to him. And he was like, good morning to you. I'm kind of the same way with those comments in my
Mhm.
channel too, because I do want to hear other people's point of views.
Yeah.
And I do want to understand them. So, when somebody, um,
Yeah.
makes a negative comment, I usually do respond. I want to understand, unless they're just being nasty and rude, in which case I usually say, like, thanks for the engagement. But um, yeah, debate is healthy, civil discourse is healthy, disagreement is
Mhm.
healthy, but Mormons are raised with a persecution complex.
They attack too.
And I, and
I've
I
watched
was
that myself
and I
before
was
meeting.
this way when I was a faithful believing member. I also believed that if somebody said something negative about the church, they were saying something negative about me, and I took it
Right.
personally. And Mormons are raised to be that way. There is an entire book called The Fate of the Persecutors of Joseph Smith. And it's about how the families of the people in Missouri are going to be cursed down to the fourth and fifth generation because of what they did to Joseph Smith. Like, this is
Yeah.
what we were raised on, to believe
Mhm.
that we were constantly under
Yeah.
persecution and that any criticism is persecution. And so they have a fundamental misunderstanding of that.
Did you see, and I know we're not gonna stay much longer, I'm ready to go too. But did you see there was a point during, before Lori was convicted, before Chad was convicted, of course. So this was like, they were arrested, but not convicted yet. And the church came out with a whole persecution piece, I'll call it. And it happened again when I'm trying to think of what happened after that. Oh, Tim Ballard happened. And then they kind of went with the same thing. And I was like, what? Are they trying to be like, oh, like, I don't know. I kind of look at them sometimes as if they're just one entity running the head there, and I'm just like,
Right.
it's like a tactic and it works like clockwork. It's like, okay. Very
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
Anyways, but let's leave on a good note. And I don't have anything to play, so you better smile or do a dance or something. I'm never gonna dance again. Just and picture Lori not
Um,
dancing again. Okay.
well, I mean, she's going to
Just
dance
kidding.
even if it's, by herself. I'm sure she probably imagines herself dancing with Chad. Although I did find
Mm-mm.
it was so
No.
interesting when she came in and she was just all smiles at Nate. And how old do you think I am, Nate? Giggling like a little girl. And then the first question out of the box, I want to talk about Chad. And she goes, okay.
Hold on. Get your ring on. Oh, never mind, I put my hair up. I can't. I can't put my ring on.
Yeah. And yeah, I've got a clip, not a ponytail holder, so I can't,
Damn it.
Anyway,
Freaking
yeah,
roar.
that's actually, so I ever since I did that We Got the Bish song, I have
I
all
love
these
it.
ideas for song parodies, and then I start it, and then I'm like, "Why am I wasting my time?"
Because you need to waste your time.
Because
We'll
it's
let you know
funny.
if you're wasting your time, okay?
Well, guess what's coming next? Noreen, 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 Noreen.
Oh,
I'm gonna do
Lord.
that one. Yeah.
Yes.
And then the Never Gonna Dance
Ooh.
Again, that's a great one. Yeah.
Yeah. And, oh my god, what's the other one? Oh my god, it's the one it was stuck in my mind forever, like Flashdance, but And she's like jogging in place, like running in place really fast with her leg warmers on.
And she pulls
And
the string and the
her
water
wrist,
comes down.
yeah. Then you got to do one white snake, here I go again. Anyways, anyway, my
So
mom
many.
made me bring back Guns N' Roses when I was in 5th grade. I mean, I don't blame her now, but
Yeah.
my nanny bought me a gift certificate and I got Guns N' Roses and my mom was like, I don't think so. So we got White Snake. So there you go. It's
Oh,
my
man.
mom's fault. Anyways, so my brother might be giving an impact statement. And I was like, I was beside myself. So anyway,
So is
I'll let
so
y'all
it's
know when
gonna
I
be
yeah, I'm gonna see
Kay
you.
and you and Jerry, possibly?
Yeah, you might bring you some nerve medicine because I'm gonna
Oh,
talk your head
man.
off. So,
I'm gonna
okay.
have to bring Kleenexes, and then I'm just gonna have to put my head down most of the time because when you guys say the stuff you're gonna say, I'm gonna not be able to hide my facial expressions.
Just say you're praying, girl. And nobody will
Yeah.
question you.
Say amen and get up.
Yeah. Mhm. And I think the most nonverbal thing that we can do and say is we get to walk away. We get to walk out of there free, and she does not.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's pretty in your face, And I mean,
Yeah.
I've never want to be like that. I never want to be like, I'm rubber. Like I'm not like that. I talk a lot of shit. I do. I talk a whole lot of caca. But when it comes down to it, my uncle, his last conversation with my other uncle, Bobby, he said, he said, what are we going to, how are we going to, oh my God. Oh my gosh, I got to get it. Cause he said something, he was wondering when she's gonna come, because it reminded me of Bush, that song, Come Back Down from This Cloud. And he was like, what's gonna happen? When is she gonna come down from this? And it's just like my uncle's last words with me were, Kresha, how do we get to Todd, my brother? And I mean, it's
Yeah.
just those mean a lot. So I
Yeah.
thought about taking the very words that Charles wrote to Lori in his text messages to her in the FOIA docs and just reliving them, just serving them up where it counts
Yeah.
because those are his words.
Yeah.
He said that she would, I forget what he used, but impactful. It's his words. He's the victim. So there you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
Anyways, all right. I
Well, I
identify as
appreciate you so much.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I appreciate you too. Not I know you appreciate me. Just I'm glad you came on and maniacs. There it is. I'm a maniac. Maniac. You have to, and you have to dance to it too. You have to do a video. This is
Oh,
VH1.
no. No, the world does not need to see that.
Girdle up your loins, girl.
It looked like
Joe said, "Griddle up your loins." They had all kind. You need to go back and check the comments because we have food truck named, slogan. We have it all. We got LLC. We got it.
oh my
Anyways,
gosh.
all right. I'll see you. Hurt. Yeah, yeah. I want to play your song. All right. Justice for Tylee, Charles, Tammy, JJ, and Joe. Love always wins. You are proof of this. Bye.